I think, Mr. Subbarao, you can start. The magic number is there.
It's with great pleasure that I welcome you to this ongoing webinar series of our Diamond Jubilee celebrations of the Consulting Engineers Association of India. Good afternoon to all of you. Today's webinar is the second in our series. The Western region already had its first webinar, which was focused on safety. This current webinar today will be focusing on asset management and asset integrity management with relation to the infrastructure sector. We have 4 speakers today, and I would be glad to introduce them in a few minutes after a few cursory announcements. The cursory announcement involve that all people in the audience and participants will be on mute. They will be unmuted in the question answer session based upon the questions that they ask. They will be unmuted at the question answer session. Kindly put all your question answers only in the question answer box. All question answers only in the question answer box, not in the chat box. The chat box questions will not be taken up. Kindly refrain from greetings such as good afternoon and good evening, etc. in the chat box as it pops up on the screen. With that, I am Dr. Harshavardhan Subbarao. I'm the chair of the Western region of the Consulting Engineers Association of India, and I'm very pleased to be a moderator for this event today. Asset management is a fascinating issue. The very word asset management conjures up so many things, and we think of our physical and our financial assets, like your house is an asset and your bank account is your asset, etc. But if we look beyond this, we come to the paradigm of where the whole process involved in building an asset, running it, the whole life cycle of an asset, and the processes that are involved in it, the persons that are involved in it, the physical and non-physical interactive issues that come into its creating this paradigm, operating it, running it, demolishing it, and recycling it may be, all this is in the gamut of managing that asset. The people, the processes, and the methods and the techniques, all that is under the gamut of asset management. Asset management gained a great fillip in recent years with the introduction of the ISO 55000 series of codes. And we're very pleased to have Dr. Naval Shetty with us, who is the convener of this international code and India's one of the signatories, one of the countries who are the 36 original signatories to creation of these management standards of the ISO, the asset management standards, 3 standards in all. And more will be discussed about that later. The other point is the need. The title is Asset Management, the Need of the Hour. Yes, we have assets. We see the conditions in which assets are being maintained. We see, for example, our physical infrastructure assets, the problem with our bridges, the problem with our roads, just these are things which affect you and me every day. So their management of these, how to formalize them, how to become into a system where we proactively act, how we can extend their life, get more out of their life, so that we address sustainability together with this issue of managing it well and getting more out of it and making it functional for a longer spell of time if we cleverly manage our assets. So with this idea that asset management is not only the physical asset or your financial asset, but the whole process in the management of the asset is what we are discussing today. And the 4 speakers that we have, Dr. Naval Shetty will be speaking on the importance of asset management. Mr. Pradeep Kumar Ray will be speaking on engineering asset management systems, their implementation challenges. Subrata Mitra will be speaking on integrity management issues and digital technologies, the increasing use of digital technologies to run assets well, and the huge advantages you get with the newfound digital technology methods. Then Partha Pratim Chaudhary will be speaking on management of highway assets, our roads, highways, etc., their present situation and the future paradigm. He will be looking at those. After the 4 speakers have spoken, we will be having a panel discussion at which our esteemed panelist, Mr. Kishore Kumar, who has joined us, will be first speaking, and maybe the panelists will have a few cursory remarks to give, and then the question answers from the audience will be taken up. So let me introduce our panelists, and I will introduce each speaker as I call them to speak. Mr. Kishore Kumar is a whole-time director of a multi-sectoral infrastructure organizational consultancy firm. called Messrs. RV Associates with its head office in Hyderabad. During his tenure of 22 years with RV, he has been instrumental in steering the highway wing of the company in handling design, supervision, and operation and maintenance projects across the country and in many countries abroad. He is a visiting/member faculty in IHE, Indian Association of Highway Engineers, for dissemination of knowledge on the best practices in contract management. He's also associated with the subcommittees formulating a few IRC codes and manuals. So we are very happy to welcome Mr. Kishore Kumar as our esteemed panelist today. I would like to now call upon our president, Mr. Amitabh Ghoshal, who many of you know needs no welcome. He's a doyen of our profession. He has been a director of Stoop for many years. He's a mentor to all of us, and he is sort of an emeritus fellow of his own company, apart from being our mentor in the CAI, IS-Structi, and so many various fora. He also convenes and acts on many bodies, including Bureau of Indian Standard bodies and Indian Road Congress codes, and also member of FIDIC. At the highest levels, he has represented India in FIDIC. And this is the background with which we are very happy to introduce our president, my president, our president, Mr. Amitabh Ghoshal, to take on the stage from now and give us a few words of CAI and what we are doing today, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Subbarao, for introducing the subject, and welcome everybody to this webinar. This is the fourth in the series of the Diamond Jubilee webinars we are having. You know, pandemic has changed our life in every aspect. While normally a Diamond Jubilee celebration would have meant getting together in a seminar and in a large meeting where we meet people and greet, we decided to celebrate our Diamond Jubilee by organizing seminars, webinars on subjects which interest not only the consultant, but the engineering fraternity as a whole. You see, the consulting engineers are the apex of the engineering pyramid, and they represent really the entire engineering fraternity. And CEI is a member of FIDIC, the international body of consultants, is the member association and represents India in FIDIC. And FIDIC runs the whole, almost the entire world's contract condition with its publications and with the recommendations that they make. So that way we are part of the international community, and this event is being supported by FIDIC, and that is how many of the international people are joining this webinar from FIDIC, as also from our Asia Pacific countries of FIDIC, the member associations, and thereby we are really having an international sort of audience. And I welcome all the participants. The number had exceeded 350, and already there are more than 140 participants who have joined live, and many are joining in the YouTube. You see, as I mentioned, the objective of CEI is to elevate the level of engineers and the engineering community and get recognition for them. Engineers have been always a neglected part of the social fabric and been behind the scene most of the time, having worked from various projects and sites. But it is time that we as engineers should get the due recognition, and all these webinars were designed with that in idea. Our next webinar will be digitalization in engineering. You know, how digitalization is changing engineering and how it is going to change further. Today also we have these four eminent speakers and a panelist. Each of them will be deliberating on different aspects of asset management. And as Dr. Subbarao explained, you know, countries like us, we cannot afford not to manage our asset well because we are short on our capital. and whatever asset we prepare must be managed well and extended in life so that we get better benefit out of that. I take this opportunity of thanking all the speakers who have given so much support to this event, and you will support me when you hear them that they have really applied their mind and made it a very, very worthy webinar to attend. We also thank our sponsors, Gawar Construction, Wellspan, Shipbuild India, Himalayan Infracon, and Diamond Construction Company. Now, all these people have helped us. We have a media partner and asset and communication group, and we have FIDIC as our supporter, and also SEFI is one of our supporters in organizing the participants from the international community. Thank you very much. We would not waste time, and we'd allow the participants to get onto the presentation that our speakers are going to make. We'll come back at the end of the event and sum up the whole process, and thank you once again.
Thank you, sir.
Over to Dr. Subbarao. Kindly proceed with the
Thank you, sir, for that introduction and the role of CI. And of course, we welcome all in the audience to join CI and lend to strengthening the activities of CI, in fact, with issues such as these, which are so important for the engineering community at large. So it is my pleasure to welcome my friend, my dear friend, Dr. Naval Shetty, who has his PhD from Imperial College, like I do. We were colleagues at the Imperial College doing our PhDs together, and our friendship goes back those many years. He is a PhD, a DIC, a fellow of the International Asset Management Institute, International FIAM, and also an RAMP. He's director and fellow and technical chair, director and fellow and technical chair for asset management at W.S. Atkins, now called Atkins. You might recognize the company, and he's a fellow of that company. His topic today will be on the importance of asset management. I think that sets the first topic and the theme. Naval leads Atkins SNC-Lavalin's Center of Excellence in Asset Management and Operations. He also plays a leadership role within the Institute of Asset Management, IAM, which is a global professional body focused on the creation and dissemination of knowledge in asset management. In fact, he's deeply involved. And what we haven't probably not given to you is that he was the convener of the ISO standards, 55,000 series of standards, 3 in all. And he was one of the conveners of that code when it came into being. And India actually is a signator to using those codes. So with that, I would like to ask Naval to take on the first session, and 20 to 25 minutes each speaker. Go ahead, Naval. Over to you.
Hello. Thank you, Dr. Harsha Subbarao, for that introduction. Thanks to CAI for organizing this event on a very important topic. And also, first of all, congratulations and best wishes on the 60th anniversary. Hope there'll be many more years to come where we continue to serve the community. Dr. Harsha, could I first check and confirm if my screen is visible to everyone?
Perfect.
Oh, okay, thank you. Yeah, so I see my role today is really to introduce the subject of asset management. And we have 3 eminent speakers following me who will be explaining the application of asset management to various different areas. So let me start by, first of all, really defining what means an asset and asset management, and why it is important as a discipline, as an emerging discipline to engineers, but also for asset owners and users. I will try and cover very, very quickly some of the key principles, concepts, and then introduce a bit more the standards that Dr. Subbarao has already mentioned. I will then very quickly go into the digital aspects of asset management, because that's one of the key emerging areas in the last 5 years or so, where asset management is embracing digital technologies. I won't be able to do full justice on that one. And if I get the time, I will quickly introduce why asset management is becoming now as a new profession, which may be of interest to several of you in the audience as a first or a second profession to follow. I'll then sum up my key points from my presentation. So let me start by introducing the 3 important terms, which are all defined in the ISO 55000 standards. Firstly, an asset, as you can see there, is an item, thing, or entity that has potential value to the organization. So asset is almost synonymous with value. So value can be financial or non-financial. It can be kind of a number of aspects of value can be thought about. It could be improving customer experience, improving safety, security, all those aspects. So you can think of value being measured upon. Whereas where asset is defined as something that holds the potential for value, asset management is a key activity or a coordinated activity which unlocks that value for the users and stakeholders. So that is a key important to relationship to understand. The standard also defines an asset management system. This is not to be considered confused with an IT system. The term has been used with IT systems for many years before, but it is basically a management framework which combines policies, objectives, and all the processes, including people, resources, processes, data, and technology together you need to manage assets properly. So you can see the relationship between them. Asset management system is you can think of that as a toolkit that you use in doing asset management activities on the assets. So if you keep those three terms in mind, if the rest of the discussions today will be much more clearer. So I also wanted to introduce some of the different types of assets that we encounter. This is not an exhaustive list at all. I just wanted to really categorize them into kind of 4 main areas. First of all, what are called as tangible physical assets. These are again subdivided into economic infrastructure assets. These are really the assets that are critical to the socio-economic development of any country. Things such as roads, railways, ports, airports, power, water, all the industries. They are the economic backbone of any country. Social infrastructure, on the other hand, are what we use for enriching our quality of life. These are our homes, offices, schools, hospitals, sports centers, various kinds of assets and facilities that we can think of. Those are called as social infrastructure assets. In addition, we also have natural infrastructure assets that we need to look after. That will be our land, rivers, lakes, forests, mountains, all those things which a country has to manage for its own kind of posterity and economic development are called natural assets. So these are all called tangible physical assets. You can actually feel and touch them. There are a number of other intangible assets. These are, first of all, knowledge itself, the know-how of any company. It has its own unique processes in producing its goods and services. So that becomes a key asset for the company. And together with that, it may have a number of patents, copyrights, licenses. Those are also can be seen as assets. Data and information can also be a key asset, as well as the software tools and technologies. So third category of assets are financial assets. These are stocks, shares, bonds, cash, gold, etc. It can also include goodwill, which is also kind of a key asset that is valued by a company. And then we have human assets, which is all about the people, the competencies, their culture, motivation. All those things actually combine together to help an organization to achieve what it wants to achieve. I hope that gives some clarity on the types of assets. You'll see that the remaining speakers will be talking about different types of assets. But as Dr. Harsha mentioned earlier, today the focus will be on infrastructure, physical infrastructure assets. And within that, my particular talk will be focused very much on economic infrastructure assets. I've chosen that because they are the fundamental to the socio-economic development of any country. I'll set that in the context of India, why it is important. So first of all, you can see that India has a legacy of old infrastructure built during and prior to the British rule, but also more modern infrastructure that has been built in the last few decades since the independence. But we are also very familiar with the challenges involved in our infrastructure assets. They are not performing well. They are not maintained well. They're in very poor condition and definitely not adequate for the demand that is placed on them. Even with the new infrastructure that has been built and also the plans that have been prepared for developing the infrastructure further, India is still very short of the infrastructure capability it needs to support its vision of $5 trillion economy. And hence it is important that a lot more investment need to go into creating and upgrading our infrastructure assets. The state of the infrastructure assets, as we all know very well currently, is a result of lack of strategic long-range planning. poor business cases for individual projects, and poor implementation resulting in substandard infrastructure and poor maintenance thereafter. This is all basically suggests that we are not looking after or not managing our assets in a robust and effective way. In the aftermath of Corona, it is expected that India and similarly many other countries around the world will be investing heavily in infrastructure assets, building and creating new assets because they would help to stimulate the economy. And infrastructure is also one of the government strategic pillars that have already been announced, and it also supports Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. Also, I want to mention here that asset management has a key role to play in achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Out of the 18 or 19 goals, about 8 of them are very strongly underpinned by asset management. And hence, we are working very closely with the United Nations to make sure that all of the good principles of asset management are embedded into the process and plans that the UN is developing. So it is therefore an opportune moment for India to adopt.
Just 1 second. Can you,
yes?
Your image, we can't see your image. Is that intentional?
Let me.
Your video, switch on your video.
Okay.
No, everything is okay. Your video I'm talking about.
Sure. No, I'm trying to go back to it.
Your face, we can't see your face.
Sure.
That's what I mean.
So, I'm trying to get to the controls. I'm not getting the controls.
Video, start video at the bottom left.
Start video, sir.
Yeah. No, I'll come back to it. I'll just need to go back to the controls. Okay, I didn't switch it on. I think now it's switched on.
Yeah, you're visible. Now it's gone off again. Yeah, you're okay now.
You're okay. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Right.
Go ahead.
Light. Is my screen visible still? I lost my file, I think. Let me find it again.
Yeah, screen is visible. Screen is visible. You're not
visible, but you're
not in
it. Yeah, and I need to find my file, which has gone now to. Okay.
Might have minimized.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Okay. Start from current. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so around the world, a number of studies have been made to quantify whether the countries have the required level of infrastructure capacity and whether they have been investing adequately into their infrastructure. And it is found that a number of countries, including those countries in the Western world, developed economies, they're not investing adequately into infrastructure because a lot of the budget is taken over for other social causes, health, education, and the like. And as a result, infrastructure is really crumbling in many of these economies, particularly if you take US, their infrastructure has really deteriorated and crumbled over the recent decades. And just in the highway sector, the cost to the economy due to the road congestion caused amounts to more than $100 billion per annum. So that's the level of importance of infrastructure assets to a country. If you don't invest properly at the right point in time to keep the existing infrastructure well maintained, as well as investing to increase the capacity and to sustain the capacity is also important. If you don't do that, then it will begin to have an impact on the economy. Similarly, a study carried out by McKinsey in the recent years quantified the level of investment that is needed to meet the future demands that will be increasing over time. And that again requires a nearly $3.2 trillion per year of investment. None of the countries are actually making this level of investment currently into infrastructure. And as a result, it will begin to have an impact on their economies. Hopefully, India has recognized this and will be investing at the right levels into infrastructure. So why do we need asset management? First of all, if you look at some of the challenges that infrastructure authorities face across the different sectors that we mentioned about, particularly in the developing economies, we see that the increase there is a constant increase in demand on these infrastructure. If you just take, for example, airports. The airports, we need a lot more number of airports. We need a lot more capacity, landing capacity airports, because of the rapid increase in air travel demand. This is pre-COVID I'm talking about. While this demand is increasing quite considerably, at the same time, the asset base is deteriorating due to usage as well as due to environmental and aging conditions. And if there is not enough funding being allocated to upgrade and maintain these infrastructure assets at the right time. Even where the funding is available, the infrastructure authorities have to balance a number of different conflicting priorities. Either the stakeholders, if it's a private company, wants something else. The local government, the state government, and national governments have different priorities. All those things put a huge pressure on the infrastructure authorities. On top of this,
Neville, we have lost your voice. Neville, we have lost you. Neville, can you join back? Sorry, we have some temporary glitch. I'm sure Dr. Neville Shetty will get past that in a minute. Yeah, Neville.
Yeah, he's there, but
Mr. Mani, you can ask him to rejoin, please.
He's on. His mic
he's on, but is maybe because of the net, there's some issue is there.
Yeah, can you just ask him, sir?
Harsha, you can call him on phone.
I will do.
He is not aware that we are not listening to him.
He's not aware.
Oh.
The number you have dialed is currently busy.
I'm not able to get him again.
Shall we? I don't know. It must be some internet problem. Shall we move to the next?
Dr. Subaroy, I suggest let's go on with the next speaker.
I think so.
Yes.
We can come back later.
Let us start with the next speaker, whether we can get through. Dr. Roy, I think you should have to remove.
I have to remove his stop sharing, but that also I am unable to do.
I'll be sharing my presentation materials. Okay, please just you check and you just verify whether it is visible or not.
You can share your screen.
Yeah, I'm sharing. No, but please, it should be at my hand. I will feel more comfortable and flexible. Okay, so just we have been sharing these materials for a number of times, even today, yesterday, and all. As such, I don't think there will be any problem. Okay.
Sir,
I'm seeing, the Dr. Shetty's material on the screen.
Yeah, that is not getting unshared from my side also.
He is now connected to
you mind?
Sir, I'm trying.
Can I overlap? Can my
sir, please do it now, sir.
Okay,
please do it now.
Okay.
Nawal,
what happened, Vidi? What happened?
I'll tell you.
Shetty.
Can I, Naval, we lost you on that
Okay.
third slide or so. So can you go back? You were off air.
Yeah, okay.
We
Did
completely
it happen
lost you.
for
Froze.
everybody? Or?
Everybody.
It happened at my end, or
It happened in your end.
oh gosh, I didn't notice at all.
Okay,
There's no
can we
any
go back
disconnection.
to, yeah, can we just go back?
Sorry about that. Okay,
Yeah.
so let
Get
me
back.
share my screen firstly.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We have lost 10 minutes.
Okay, can you see the screen again?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you lose me here or
No, before this?
That's
Okay.
No,
Here?
before this.
This one?
This. Yeah, you were on this.
This is the one.
Yes,
The next
on this
one.
Okay.
slide.
You had just completed this.
Okay, just completed. Okay, fine then. Yeah. So can we go live now?
Excellent.
Please.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, we'll continue. First of all, apologies all the participants. I seem to have kind of lost my connection.
Go
So
ahead.
what I was saying was that, there are 3 standards which have been published in 2014. And as Dr. Subbarao mentioned, India is also a signatory to these standards. So they are actually published as Indian standards now. More recently, another standard has been published, which is called ISO 55010. This standard actually brings together asset management, financial planning, and accounting together. So these 3 are very important related disciplines that need to be aligned with each other, and that has been achieved through some guidance has been produced in that new standard. So I'll try and make up the time quickly. So there are 3 key principles in asset management, which any management system for asset management need to embrace. The first one is called the business alignment, or what we call as line of sight. Here, this means that whatever work you do and whatever investment you put in place for either creating the assets or operating and maintaining them on a daily basis, which is on the bottom of the layer there, must be aligned with what the organization want to achieve over the next 5, 10, 15 years as part of its strategic planning, which in itself would have been in response to the stakeholders and customers' expectations and demands. So only by doing that, we ensure that the assets actually deliver value to its stakeholders. That is quite fundamental to the definition of asset itself. It is all about delivering value to stakeholders and customers. So asset management actually gives a consistent framework how to systematically cascade down the stakeholder requirements down to organizational objectives and goals, then working down to defining the asset management objectives and the different levels of planning, both strategic level and tactical level, which will then be delivered on a day-to-day basis in terms of the project and operation maintenance activities. In addition, we see that in developing and delivering those plans, we need to manage assets at 3 different levels. At the bottom of the layer is the individual assets themselves. They go through their different life cycle phases, from creation to then utilization, maintenance, renewal, disposal. But individual assets don't themselves deliver service or performance. They actually work together as systems, at which point you can begin to experience the benefits. For example, a railway system, only when all the assets on a railway system work together, then trains will be operating so that the customers can travel from A to B. So we need to see how to manage at the system level. At the top is the whole portfolio of all the assets that an organization or an entity owns. And this is where we need to make sure that the assets and the capacity of those assets match with the future demand. And as we expect, the demand will keep on increasing over time. We must make sure that the portfolio is appropriately adjusted and enhanced to meet that the capacity meets the demand. Okay, so you can see that it's quite a broad subject, and we need to make sure that it is aligned with the stakeholder requirements, and the activities we undertake on individual assets are optimized over the whole life cycle. And also there is alignment between the decisions we make at the portfolio level to system level down to individual assets. In all of this planning and decision making, there are 3 key parameters that we need to optimize together. That is the cost of undertaking an activity, the risk of not undertaking an activity, and also the performance benefits we expect from undertaking those activities on our assets. So by optimizing cost, risk, and performance collectively at individual asset, system, and portfolio level, we begin to optimize or derive better value from our assets. Okay, hopefully that covers in a nutshell what asset management is about. Very quick look into the asset management ISO 55001 standard itself. This is really a management system standard which sets down the core requirements for managing assets. This standard is complementary to other management system standards you may know, for example, ISO 9001, ISO 14001, ISO 45001, health and safety. All of these are complementary standards and they are set out in a consistent structure. In fact, they are all been developed to a common template, which again, I was involved in developing that common template now, which is going through a revision currently. So this standard actually sets down about 24 clauses which set down the core requirements that should be in place within an organization to manage their assets effectively. They go from understanding the overall organization context within which the organization to perform and deliver its goods and services. It needs to understand the needs and stakeholder expectations of stakeholders. Then leadership is very, very important in asset management. Unless there is an executive level, board level sponsorship for how the assets need to be managed, and the board actually set down a policy and define the roles and responsibilities, you won't be able to carry out assessment activities effectively. The next important group of requirements are around planning. So planning is a key important interface between the business level planning to what it needs to be done on assets. So here we actually translate the organizational objectives and goals into asset management objectives, and then develop longer term plans which will help us to achieve those objectives and mitigating the risks involved in not achieving those objectives. Once we have the detailed plans, both at the portfolio level called a strategic asset management plan, and for individual systems or asset classes called asset management plans. Once those are developed, then delivering those plans is the operation. This is typically involves either creating new assets or modifying, enhancing those existing assets, as well as operating and maintaining them, and finally at some point in time, disposing of those assets. So where an organization outsources some of these activities to contractors or other consultants, how to manage those contracts is also a key part of the operation. Obviously, having developed the plan and executed the plan, you also need a way of monitoring how well our assets are performing, how our strategies and plans are effective. So we need a system for measuring performance. And based on the performance feedback, we take improvement actions. So this completes the plan, do, check, act cycle. In the middle, we have what we call as enablers. These are the people, their competencies, motivation, culture, as well as how they are communicated with, as well as data, information, documentation, systems, and technologies, which all help us to plan and deliver various activities. So in the Institute of Asset Management is one of the key institutions in this premium institutions in this area. I've been associated with the IAM for a number of years now. And that has developed a maturity model to assess how mature an organization is in the area of asset management, which goes from a kind of 1 to 5, 1 being just aware, 3 being fully competent as an asset management organization. This is where organization can demonstrate that it fully complies with the requirements of the ISO standard. But beyond that are where you begin to further optimize and become excellent at what you do. And as an organization matures to the right, you can see that the cost and risks over the life cycle will begin to reduce over time. At the same time, the performance and the benefits will improve. So you get double benefit. You get enhanced out performance and throughput. At the same time, you can reduce the cost and the risk. That is really the key benefit of asset management, if you can now see. So this is also an important video that you can all browse from the IAM's website, or it's also available on YouTube. This has been prepared by IAM by talking to nearly 500 organizations to understand really the journey they have gone through in terms of adopting and embracing asset management principles and techniques, and how they've been able to benefit from that. So it's a very good video for you to follow, to understand the subject a bit better. So by getting this asset management right, there are a number of important benefits which are shown here. This is from the ISO committee. So you can expect better performance, improved asset value, effective control on risk, and organization itself can develop better. That will lead to reliable decision making, and as a result, greater stakeholder confidence. We also kind of established some of the key performance benefit metrics, and we see that a number of leading organizations have managed to achieve something like 25 to 30% reduction in cost, at the same time, nearly 25 to 30% improvement in performance consistently over a number of years. This kind of benefit can only be achieved through a paradigm shift by embracing the principles of asset management. These can't be achieved through just efficiency technologies such as Kaizen and other models. Those benefits will run out after 2, 3 years or 5 years. So asset management is the only discipline which will help you to achieve benefits over the long term. I just put here a number of different standards and guidance documents that are available currently on the subject. I'm pleased to inform you that Atkins has been the either the leading or the contributor to many of these guidance documents. It's also in the area of BIM and information management, which is also a key part of asset management. We have played an active role here. Just to give some flavor for the kind of work that is involved in implementing asset management. A lot of work we do in Atkins is basically to work with our clients to take them on a journey to understand where they are currently. By adopting asset management in a sustained way over typically 3 to 5 years, they can achieve a number of benefits, and they can also achieve certification to the ISO standard. That's the kind of work we have done with companies such as Land Transport Authority and SMRT in Singapore, New York Subway, Severn Trent Water, RTA in Dubai, Heathrow Airport. Number of different leading infrastructure organizations have adopted these principles and standards. In the paucity of time, I won't be able to go through all the case studies, but let me quickly touch upon the digital asset management. If I may, if you could allow me about 5 minutes more, please.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, please, thank you. Yeah. So digital technology, as you all know, has come about in the last 5 to 10 years, which gives us a very powerful capability to monitor our assets in real time. We can also monitor how the assets are being utilized by customers and also the environment within which the assets need to operate. So you can get through appropriate sensors and monitoring devices, including satellite monitoring, drone monitoring. You can get very rich information in real time on how assets are performing and how and where they are going to, when are they going to fail. By combining this real-time data with predictive analytics techniques, AI and ML, machine learning technologies, you can actually predict when a critical asset such as a signaling system on a railway or a complete plant shutdown in a factory, when it can happen, so that you can take intervention action in time to prevent that kind of failures happening. So this is a very, very powerful capability that has become available now. And a lot of the research work we are doing in the area of asset management in the recent years, in the last 5 to 10 years, has been in the use of digital technologies. And within Atkins, we have actually extended this further in developing what we call as the digital twins. These are basically digital representation of physical assets. So you can do all of the simulation and what if scenarios on the digital asset before you can decide what's the optimal action to take on the physical asset. Right from the initial planning to design, construction, all the way you can actually embrace these simulation digital twins very, very effectively. This has been achieved by basically combining the approaches from strategic asset management we discussed so far. BIM, which is also a new area which has been developing in the last 5 to 10 years as a structured process for managing data and information, and all of the industry 4.0 technologies that are becoming available. But by combining these capabilities together, we get a powerful digital asset management technology built around digital twins to really enhance the value of the assets that we manage. By doing this, we can actually digitalize entire operations right from the initial concept to planning to design, construction, operations, maintenance, and simulation. In fact, we are now creating digital twins of nuclear power plants which are going through decommissioning, which typically takes 10 years plus to decommission one plant, and very, very complex hazardous operation. And we are able to simulate every sequence of the decommissioning process using digital twins, what I mentioned earlier. So this is an example of a project we did with MTA in New York. They were quite a bit behind in terms of embracing digital asset management approaches. In 2013, we worked with them, and since then we have been working with them for a number of years to put in place more advanced systems and tools to help them to digitalize their asset management activities. A more recent one is a program in UK Network Rail. This was a nearly $500 million program over 7 years to completely digitalize their asset management practices, including operations and maintenance. As a result, now they have a single integrated model of their entire railway. For the first time, they're able to see the whole railway as an integrated system after 200 years. So again, we are quite heavily involved in that program as the strategic partners. More recently, Network Rail has launched a what we call as the Intelligent Infrastructure Program, where they are really identified 100,000 critical assets on their network in the whole of the UK. And these are being monitored in real time through various kinds of sensors. And the data comes into a central place where a lot of analytics is done to understand how the assets are performing, are there any deteriorating trends, so that they can take intervention actions. Again, quite a massive programs. We are quite closely involved. High Speed 2, again, a $100 billion program in the UK. The entire planning and concept, right from the start, is to completely develop a digital railway, which will then inform the planning, design, construction, and through life operations maintenance. Again, we are fortunate to support this program over a 4-year period to embed all of the asset management approaches. More recently, UK has launched, the whole of the UK government has launched a much more ambitious program to create what is called as a national digital kind of asset register for all of the built environment assets, all of the buildings and economic and social infrastructure assets that I mentioned. And this is a coordinated program with more than 500 organizations actually working together in a collaborative way for mutual benefit. So the whole of the way the built environment sector is managed in the UK is completely digitalized. All of the different stakeholders, right from the government down to the infrastructure authorities, down to the suppliers and contractors, can actually work together, sharing data in a secure and interoperable way, which will really enhance the competency, effectiveness, efficiencies that can be achieved collectively by the sector. And that will actually make the construction much more efficient and effective going forward. So again, we are fortunate to be involved in this program. So at this stage, I think I will just want to mention that Insta Asset Management, which is a premium body in the area of asset management, is now a global organization with chapters in many countries. It has actually supporting organizations as well as individuals to become competent at asset management. There is a whole range of training programs leading to and the competencies defined here as well. So you can actually go from a foundation certificate to a full certificate, which is a beginner level, a diploma, and actually becoming a chartership in asset management now. And going forward, it can become a fellow of asset management. I was fortunate to be one of the founding fellows here. So for those of you who are engineers who already may have a chartership, those of you want to go more into strategically managing assets for your own organization or for other entities, you could think of asset management as a key discipline and profession going forward, and develop your career in this regard. A lot of information can be obtained from the IIM website. I have put a link here. So with that, if I can quickly summarize, sorry for the taking more time, Dr. Subra. So as I mentioned, infrastructure assets such as roads, railways, airports, and seaports, and others are very vital for socioeconomic development of India. They're also quite important for the $5 trillion economy vision that the government has set out, which will require a lot more investment to go into creating infrastructure in the coming years. And it is important that India embraces the good practices of asset management to derive greater value from this investment, and also to create assets that kind of leave a longer term legacy. People coming, our next generations will continue to enjoy these infrastructure assets and to support socioeconomic development. Asset management is growing as a new discipline and new profession. It basically combines skills and competencies from engineering, economics, finance, business management, and IT, information technology. And I would definitely recommend some of you to think about embracing this as a key profession going forward, which will really help you to really enhance your own career, but also to support your organization and the sector you work in. So with that, I conclude my presentation. Apologies again for taking more time.
Thank you, Dr. Naval Shetty. That was indeed a wonderful presentation and set the scene and the whole paradigm in which we have to address ourselves including the opportunities, the issues, the use of the digital twin, the interfaces that have to be multidisciplinary interfaces that all have to be subsumed in this concept of asset management, the standards, etc., and the role your company is playing globally. It gives us and the confidence you can have for even an accreditation process. So with that, I think this opening session has been excellent. We will move on to the next speaker. Questions and answers will be taken at the end. It is my pleasure. Thank you, Nabil. Let me go ahead to the next speaker, Professor Pradeep Kumar Ray. His topic would be Engineering Asset Management System and Implementation Challenges. He's currently the Dean of VGSOM and Professor in the Department of Industrial and Systems Engineering at IIT Kharagpur. He received his PhD and MTech from Kharagpur, IIT Kharagpur, and Bachelor's from IESET Shibpur. Professor Ray is a certified lead assessor for ISO 9000 registration and actively involved in a number of industrial consulting and research projects in his interest area. He has a wide-ranging experience across, including from shop floor upwards, as he had told us the other day. So with this brief epitomized introduction, you will be happy to hear from no less than Professor Ray. Professor Ray, this abbreviated introduction doesn't do you justice, but I hope you can keep within the time of 20-25 minutes, and then we can take up more issues in the question answer session. So kindly keep to time, sir. Thanks.
Okay, so first of all, I would like to thank Mr. Amitav Ghoshal, Dr. Subbalao, and other members of Consulting Engineers Association of India for their kind invitation. It's my pleasure, it's my privilege, it's my honor to be, interacting with you at this point in time, and it's a very, very, very important and relevant topic from the national perspective. As far as the time is very, very limited, and I'll be dealing with a very important issue, that is the implementation issues. That means in many time, what happens, based on my experience, I've conducted a number of workshops on asset management in India and abroad. Plus, I carried out a number of the research consulting work on asset management. And for last 5 or 6 years, we have been, offering a compulsory course, 4-credit course for the first time, at IIT Kharagpur. You can say it is railway engineering too, but essentially, I have made the syllabus in such a way that we should focus on asset management. And this is being offered at our the Center for Railway Research. Very recently, in the last year, I've been called on the World Bank funded, educational programs in certain countries. And you'll be very happy to know that, on any systems we talk about, engineering system, varieties, and they are focusing on how to create the asset. As the previous speaker has already pointed out, that it has already been classified. And what I have found, that almost all the countries, many countries which I visited, in fact, on academic aspects, on the research and all, including Japan and all, what we'll find that essentially it is not explicitly mentioned, because the Japan is a country which is 100% import based. But still you'll find that we are all aware of, in fact, the concept of, or the kinds of systems introduced by Toyota Production System, TPS. And essentially they talk about value adding, non-value adding, and many other aspects, in fact, you are already aware of. You are all learned persons, in fact. Now, but the concept-wise, fantastic, no problem at all. That means whether any Tom, Dick, or Harry you interact, you explain the concept of asset management, or say any company you deal with, whether it is MSME, or say the job shop, or the startup, or say the large company or medium company, the concept is well understood based on my interactions. But the main problem is when someone asks, sir, we have understood what is it. Because after all, asset is can be explained by anyone. By my parents also can explain. The child also can explain what is an asset. Fine. And similarly, as soon as we say an asset, we also know what is a liability. In a different context, in fact, within court. So my concern has been all through, because while I carry out this consulting work, then the persons ask me, sir, we have understood, but then what is to be done? You tell me. And as soon as we say that what is to be done, that means implicitly or explicitly, he talks about the implementation plan, an implementation plan. Like in this case, many a time we refer to several types of documents and all those, we say the plan. But then again, in 1950s, that Dwight D. Eisenhower, what he says, in fact, the US president, okay, so he was a 4-star, 5-star general, in fact, what he says that the plan is nothing, planning is everything. And the planning means essentially implementation. Now, today, in this context, what my presumption is that, the necessary conditions we have in an organizations. What are the necessary conditions? The necessary conditions is like that we all know that what is the basic purpose of asset management. And in many contexts, we say these days, for many, many years, in fact, can you achieve a condition called manufacturing excellence? Manufacturing excellence. And what we say that can you achieve operations excellence, and operations without maintenance is meaningless. So operation excellence along with the maintenance excellence. And so this part we should highlight, that means the person or the organization which is going to implement that, I presume that they have the good ideas about all this. Second thing is that what are the critical areas you should focus in an organization? There are many the functions, as you already know, that under Q94, the standards, the equivalent ISO 9001 standards. So the American standards, ANSI, ASQC, many years back, they say that we should concentrate on such 11 functions. They have very clearly mentioned the so-called quality loop. And in all these functions, we have different kinds of assets. Yes, please.
So, have you got any slides showing?
Yeah, slides. I'll show you. Quickly, I'll show you. Okay, let me share. Okay. Fine. Actually, I'm habituated with the extempore. Okay, fine. Okay. So what are I'll try to, I presume that the pertinent issues related to AMS development, these are known to you. And then, the several examples I try to pose. And then there are 3 important aspects. One is the cost aspect while you, implement your asset management system. Now, so the cost aspects, the performance aspect, and the risk aspect we should be aware of. All are interrelated, in fact. And obviously, another important problem for implementation that we have noticed, actually, what could be the unit of analysis for whom you are making your model or implementation. There are many, the players or the stakeholders. So how to create a system for, my previous speaker has already pointed out that what are the system related elements in the asset management systems. Tools and techniques, there are many kinds of tools and techniques, like say the total life cycle costing. This is very, very important, in fact. And we always believe in, while you try to improve the asset quality, we always believe in the concept of, say, the Kaizen or the continuous improvement, not R&D. So that's our first priority. So once we do this, then I'm going to discuss the AMS framework, where, the top management support at the middle management, and the support at the operations level. Even what I have found, in fact, like say, after the asset is concerned, or the product or the technical know-how is concerned, that's the definition of asset. In fact, in today's context, I have come across, in my, the industrial, say the experience, I've come across a large number of workers, the operators. They're excellent. In fact, they know ins and outs. This is on one direction. And another aspect is, as far as asset management is concerned, I have interacted with large number of, the maintenance executives. And, there the, I should say, as far as my previous speaker has already pointed out, the human resource as an asset. So in any organizations, as you know, that without this maintenance executive, you cannot develop an assurance systems for your maintenance. Now, so let me just go quickly, and towards the end, I will also try to share with you that what are the specific aspects you should look into while you develop a blueprint for implementation. That's very important. In fact, we are all engineers, and engineers sometimes what happens, found that sometimes, as Noam Chomsky has many years back has pointed out, that we engineers sometimes we have a very tunnel vision. Okay, so we like to see everything from my perspective, from my discipline perspective, and this is totally wrong. Time and again it has been proved. So while we implement, that means implementation by a group. And today what has happened, almost all the systems have become very, very complex. The current generation they have been facing, and it's an integrated approach. That's why while you talk about the implementation of the asset management system, obviously, it must be an integration, and there are several aspects we need to consider. So, so what are the specific issues we should bothering about, and there must be a blueprint for that. So, asset management details. I know the time is very, very short, so I will just focus on sufficient condition. What we say that yes, first you check that whether the necessary condition is satisfied or not. And then only when you go for implementation, you say, yes, necessary condition is satisfied, and then only now we're in a position to implement. There are many, many cases you will find that, okay, that the company is not ready, the necessary conditions are not satisfied, but someone has implemented some systems and all, okay, you try to, implement that. Okay, and always it will be a failure case, whether it's a ERP systems and all, and so there must not be any shortcut. That means the continuous improvement. So this, and when you try to implement something, now you will come to know through your inspection what are my positive points, where conditions of the competency will lack. So what is important is that once in a company, at the company level, or at the plant level, at the department level, at a particular machine tool level, if you want to create or if you implement the asset management systems, so it could be a top-down approach, it could be a bottom-up approach. But what we have found, in fact, many organizations, bottom-up approach and the slow but steady process. Okay, slow but steady, that will be much better, and it will have a long-term impact. So these concepts are known. Everyone is aware of. It started with say the PAS 55, and later on say ISO 55,000 standards and all. And these are the problems. What are the issues? What are the problems related to management of physical assets? We are talking about, in fact, and varying from one condition to another, as well as from one type of industry to another. This is very, very important, in fact. So today, when someone talks about say the startup companies, their mind is very, very fresh, the young graduates. But at least I could get an opportunity. I could tell them that yes, at this point in time, yes, let it be a job shop, but let it be known first. So you will be a better position, and you will come to know that whether it's the cost versus the benefits, or the cost versus the risk, cost versus the values. Okay, whether you have these estimates and all, and to what extent you have the control on this. Okay, so these are the critical areas we are all aware of. In fact, let me just read it out, like the short-term and long-term planning of assets and their capability. So this must be documented, in fact, and maybe it's at the business level, at the business plan level, at the strategic level, you have to develop that. Many times what has happened, that the person concerned is talking about the shop floor level, it's fine, the asset management. But as far as when you go for the AGM of the company, there is no mention of asset management. That means I will say that there may not be in the support from the top management. Fine. So these cases are there, in fact. Inventory management and control systems, particularly on many aspects, you know, that yes, we have self-sufficiency, but many vital resources, we are dependent on the foreign suppliers. And but ours is at least, you know, what you can say, we talk about the sustainability, but at least our system is much more, our system is not that efficient, but it is sustainable. That's why, you know, the Indian systems are highly praised, and there are some finer points. We are controlling our assets. Those, you know, the issues to be highlighted. In fact, we are all aware of. Only thing is, you know, in our organization structure, it is not mentioned. So the time has come that you should highlight all these explicit terms. Operation, processing, servicing, then reliability assessment, closely linked, maintenance and servicing, hazards and risk analysis, reuse, recycling, disposal, sustainability, benchmarking. This has to be there, in fact, and particularly, you know, we deal with the process benchmarking. Process benchmarking is very difficult, in fact, because your, you know, the company intelligence should be very, you know, very strong, the intelligence one. Strategic assets management, my previous speaker has already pointed out. Okay, so now the consequences of asset folios. So I request all of you to go through this, because these are the examples, in fact. And particularly, you know, but these are well understood by the operations people. Sometimes what happens that the persons who are working at the, you know, at the head office, he may not have any idea. So today it is happening, in fact, in many cases. In fact, otherwise the human resources are very good quality. So the major loss of life and property through failure of major dam. Can you link it with your asset management system? Loss of supply of water and a reduction of pressure to affected properties. These are all very critical problems, in fact, and these all related to the asset management. Inability to meet firefighting flow demands, flooding of property on roads, pathways, and other public space due to main breaks, failure to meet water quality standards due to contamination or the treatment failure. These are the examples, in fact. Failure of sewage treatment, resulting in discharges not meeting environmental standards, pipe blockages or breaks or pump failures, resulting in the sewage overflows, because I'm concentrating on the engineering systems primarily, creating hazards to the public and adverse environmental impacts. So these all are related to, you know, the asset management system, property, infrastructure, and environmental damage, including erosion, scour, or pollution. So these are the concerns, in fact. These are the pertinent issues. Okay, so like first one is the companies, whether, you know, the asset management is recognized at the company level or not. Simply blah blah, you know, the talking and all, you know, giving sermons will not help. Okay, so information and knowledge management requiring direct access to all relevant data. My previous speaker has already pointed out, at the correct level of integration and in the correct format. Is it okay? Fortunately, the today's generation, have become aware of how important it is to, you know, the database management system. It's a database management systems. It cannot be a conceptual model. It's a database. We have our own conditions or our own constraints, and we have to build up our own system. Risk awareness requiring performing risk analysis and evaluating results considered as the standard practice as part of the decision-making process. Sometimes something we do, but the decision is made. It's already known, in fact. I worked in industries. In fact, those days, you know, the first question, you know, I asked my boss, I said, will you allow me to make mistakes? He said, why not? Is it okay? So in the process, what we come to know, that means we try to do on our own, the experiments and all, and we come to know what are the good points, whether it is an asset or not, or it is to be disposed of. All these things you yourself should, you know. Okay, so this is these are the pertinent issues. Life cycle cost analysis. These are very important issues. So types of instrument to be used for object registration, like we all know. In fact, it's a long down practice. You have one, say the equipment installed, and then you have, you know, the equipment history card. And there it ends. So that's the register we used to have. Today, what we say for implementation, are you like IIT Kharagpur is trying to develop these asset registers? Is it okay? And while you carry out, while you prepare this asset registers in a particular format as per the standards, then immediately you will come to know that what kind of the assignments you have to undertake for making the system implementable. So these are all there. In fact, all details are here. This I don't want to explain all this. The difference, how the asset management is related to the system one as per ISO 555,000. These also 55,000 standards. This also it's a conceptual framework. We presume this is a necessary condition. And these are the key concepts. My previous speaker has already pointed out all this one. I don't want to repeat this one. This is very, very vital. Is it okay? Normally what happens, the asset management is related to the maintenance, and the maintenance is always sidelined. Is it okay? In fact, in many cases, you'll find that the maintenance function is not even considered as a value-adding function. That is absolutely wrong. It's a cost-adding function and all. Now here, what you need to do, what we have found, that you need to relate asset management systems with all other functions. This point I've already pointed out. And to what extent, the business plan which you have or the perspective plan, whether it recognizes the asset management systems or not as a formal, as a formal functions or not. Okay, this is very important. This is asset life. You already know that already it is there. Like say the, some work or say, the plant is to be commissioned. There's the design at the commissioning level. Then it's the operation maintenance level. Then the decommissioning level, and then the process life cycles and the disposal level. So all these are there, in fact. So what are the risks like public health, safety, asset failure, customer service, financial risk, environmental risk, the natural events, regulatory controls, and then the political issues. These are all coming in the picture. This is, you already know, in fact. That means the planning costs, the acquisition costs, and how they are interrelated. This is okay. This is a very rigorous exercise, and in the backup, the document, this generation, the brain, they should be, they should carry out all these exercises. In fact, in the backup, that means in the management information systems. Today, this is a possibility. This is a continual improvement. Basically, Kaizen, you are already aware of, in fact. Okay, so. And improving the current asset management practices, there are many approaches, in fact, like the top-down, bottom-up, I've already mentioned. There are performance measures, auditing and reviewing, the gap analysis, life cycle-based approaches, etc., etc. Okay, so all these details are here, in fact. And the gap analysis you are also aware of, in fact. Okay, so the typical performance indicators like water supply, I have already mentioned, in fact. So at the availability, that is one dimension. Second dimension is the quality. Third dimension is the response times. So similarly, the sewerage systems. So these are the, the factors of the performance indicator you need to consider. These are just examples, in fact. And so the waste management is also coming picture. So how is it related to your wastes? Whether your asset management, you are saying it's excellent. Do you have any direct relationship with the loss reduction and all? Okay, so I presume that in a production scenarios, how the laws are classified. There are 7 types of losses, in fact. Okay, many years back, the Japanese organizations, they have they classified the TPS systems you are already aware of, in fact. So all these details are given, in fact. So here, this is just one example. Okay, all these details are given. Now the time is very short, so there could be also non-asset solutions. Getting my point? It's not that yes, we are talking about the asset. You must not believe in that all sorts of solutions should come through only the when you believe in the concept of asset management. Are getting my point? So this means we must not close our mindset. That's very important. In fact, normally what happens that but fortunately, when you talk about the scope of work for asset management, first thing you need to do for implementation, what is your boundary line? And you ask this question to the boundary line. Otherwise, how do you prepare a document for that one? And then next important aspect is whether it's for the short-term plan or long-term plan or the medium-term plan. Everybody knows whether within say 1 year, then 1 to 5 years, or beyond 5 years. So this way you have to make a plan. And this is the typical asset information systems. So this we have developed, in fact. There are many in the railway systems try to implement, in fact, like the signaling systems of the Indian Railways. So one of my research scholars, we did PhD on Indian signaling systems, and then we came to know, in fact, with the primary data collections, in fact, the field study for 1 year. So what we come to know that how it's a great organizations, Indian Railways, as far as asset management is concerned, super level. And one thing we have understood is also at different levels of the Indian Railways, the organizations, at different levels, you will find is a storehouse of knowledge. That means directly, the human resources are excellent quality. Is it okay? That's why you will find its performance is excellent, Indian Railways. Per day, we are transporting around 2.5 crores of passengers, and not only one type of resources or one types of assets, varieties. We take care of the interests and the demands of people at all strata of the society. That's very unique, in fact. So that's why the information systems support generation, like say the kinds of we have studied this one, like the reservation systems of Indian Railways. It is the no European countries can ever think of implementing that one. So superb level. So okay, so we have these these examples with us. So at the company level, it will not be a problem at all to implement that. In fact, those the core competency already we have already developed. So this is the typical data sources. It's closely linked. I have to close it right now. Just give me just 5 minutes of time. Okay.
Sir, I can give you 3 minutes, sir.
Okay, fine. So I presume that it's like 3 minutes means 3 minutes. Fine. So so the road to strategic assessment, I can skip that one. And what I'm telling you, like, so this is the framework. Is it okay? So the asset management framework, there are many kinds of documents you have to create. Is it okay? This I skip this part. There are many types of tools and techniques. Unless the people who are going to implement, they do not know the ins and outs of these tools and techniques, their interpretation could be misleading, and then they cannot lead others. It's a lead others with the subordinates as well as the superiors. Particularly, I'm bothering about to what extent you can lead your subordinates staff. That's very important, in fact. So that's why I've highlighted. Now, just the 2 minutes time, this is a comprehensive framework. So what are the main issues? Like say, the main issues are essentially, let me just go back. Like first one is, you're running a company, the profitability and market share must be acceptable. And within the production system, the cost to be minimized, quality to be maximized, and the manufacturing lead time should be minimized. These are the the understood, all the companies, they're trying to achieve this. So for that, to what extent asset management system should support. So here, first one we talk about, these are the three main aspects: asset installations and operations, asset performance measurement and evaluation, asset management related systems development, and compliance with the standards. And what are the three key elements? Management support and responsibilities. These are very clearly defined, in fact. Okay, the kinds of framework we are talking about, the time permitting, I can explain in details what actually you're supposed to do. Okay, all the activities and the implementation plan, problems and action steps, and authority and leadership. And this particular structure, I should make a comment, basically it's a generic structure. That means this is a given, whether it's a small company or the large company, doesn't matter. So you can implement it. Only thing is the person concerned, he must have a total view. Sometimes what happens to the person concerned who is in charge, that my experience, in fact, is a very narrow vision. Is it okay? He can't think of 1 inch on this side, 1 inch on the other side. That's the engineer's, the mindset. What Noam Chomsky, many years ago, he has pointed out. So these are the activities, okay, and these are the activities against all. Okay, so that is to be made very, very clear, in fact. So we are, dealing with the concrete things. We are engineers, in fact. Okay, we can't be the philosophers at this level, at the shop floor level. So that's my idea. In the authority and leadership is very important, pointed out. And this is the structures. This is the structure. Now, just 1 minute, what I'm telling you, when you talk about the implementation, now, what are the main issues? Main issues are, the major action steps to remove the causes. You have to write down. Then independence of decision making. Many a time I have implemented many such systems for Indian Air Force. What I have observed, that's the military leadership is fantastic in giving all sorts of support. It's a command and control leadership. It's a command and control. So the advantage, but still you have to consider independence of decision making at different levels. And then the types of actions required, like whether you go for equipment replacement, okay, substitution of materials is another one, and the new materials, new methods. And then, what kind of training programs you initiate, level of investments, whether it's a major, whether it's a high, or say the low, or the minor, or within the budget, is to be mentioned, and level of uncertainty. Okay, level of uncertainty. Is it okay? Then is the time schedule. Now, yes, time is very short. I conclude with this. Is it okay? What Henry Ford many years back, he mentions, if money is your hope for independence, you'll never have it. The only real security that a man can have in this world is a reserve of knowledge, experience, and ability, Henry Ford. And the second one, it is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent that survives. It is the one that is most adaptable to change. Charles Darwin. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Ray. I think, that was an amazing presentation. You have shown us that there is so much for us to learn, that the academia is deeply involved now. There is a fora for the academic involvement and the academic dissemination in the area of asset management. So we are very grateful to you for having spent this time with us. But I'm sure you would have had more time, and I'm sure we will engage you in future events with the
thank you so much.
Body, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Now, my duty now is to call upon Mr. Subrata Mitra. His topic will be integrity management issues and digital technologies. He's a 1972 batch graduate in mechanical engineering from Jadavpur University. Initially, he worked on the shop floor on alloy steel plants in Sale, Durgapur up to 1981. And he's been involved deeply with the steel industry. 81, up to retirement, he was in MN Dastur, where he rose to the level of joint managing director. He has full experience in not only the conceptualization, planning, or implementation and operation and maintenance of various such steel plants for Tata, SAIL, JSW, ArcelorMittal, Suez Steel abroad, Egypt, and various countries abroad where he has done this kind of implementation of massive steel plants. So with that, I would like him to present his slides and discussion. About, say, 20 minutes, if it's okay, sir. You'll have to unmute yourself. Partha, you'll have to unmute yourself.
Yeah.
There you go.
It will be okay.
Right, sir?
I know, sir. Yes.
Go ahead, sir.
Just a minute.
Many might know that MN Dastur and the steel industry are sort of totally linked. They have been involved with many developments of the steel industries all over India. So that's the background. On a massive scale, Mr. Subrata Mitra is involved in these projects, large projects. You're right, sir. There you go. Perfect.
Can you see?
Perfect.
Can you see?
Yes.
Just put it to full screen view. If you can put it to full screen view.
Full screen.
Yeah. Well, put on that sort of PowerPoint.
Slideshow mode.
Slideshow. Put on the slideshow.
Slideshow. I put it on slideshow. Is it okay?
Yes, it is okay.
Go
but
ahead.
It can be a little larger if you put on that picture of the screen. That is, yeah. Fine.
It's going out of scale.
No, please select slideshow. You have not selected slideshow.
Slideshow. You put on slideshow.
Yes, I have just selected.
Right. Now it is fine.
Go.
Absolutely.
Okay. I think you cannot see me now.
Well, that's all right. I
No,
mean,
that will be in
Okay.
another view.
Anyway, let me start.
Yeah.
Thank you. I would like to thank Consulting Engineers Association of India. Being consulting engineers for many decades, say 4 decades, this is an opportunity given to me for which I am proud to be associated in the Golden Jubilee 60 years anniversary, and listened very carefully to the earlier speakers who has covered wonderfully. My point of discussion will be, I am an industry man and implementer of projects. Now, asset, the management issues have been very elaborately discussed by earlier speakers. Now the implementation aspects, whatever we see around is an asset. So the question is, as it is a vast subject, so I would like to restrict myself to the core, which is a core of a country. So I think you have an idea of how much asset is, I should not say locked up, is there in the country, where lakhs of acres of land are there producing about 11 to 12 million tons of steel. We are the second largest. I start with steel, mining, power, whatever, the basic core. So the asset management, whatever has been discussed up till now, is a managerial part, which is absolutely imperative. Some people should be doing that part. Then the other part of the industry should manage the operation, maintenance, and upkeep of the asset so that the maximum utilization can be had. Our aim is focus is maximum utilization of the assets. What are the problem with the asset in the country, or that to say in any other country? Land and water. These are going to be the most critical items in the world, except very big countries, and which are rich countries. Countries like India, China has a different way of managing the land availability, but these are certain things. Enormous supply chain is involved. Asset, let it be a small item or a big item, the integrity, when the topic agenda is integrity management. What is integrity? Integrity is goodness, if it is about a man, and integrity is the effective utilization of the assets throughout its life cycle and in totality. Means when we talk about any industry, which the earlier speaker was also very nicely elaborating, asset is an assimilation of all the asset management is assimilation of all the small assets. The output of one asset is the input of another asset. So we have to live with, we have to find ways to manage in totality the whole asset working in a proper manner. When you talk about integrity, the capability of asset, this I just talked throughout the life cycle, the aim is maximization of gainful asset utilization. You must be knowing how much problem we face, at least in our country, in setting up a plant. Industry is required for development. So in setting up an industry, huge number of local problems are have to be faced. The government has to face. There are a lot of other problems coming up, including people are killed over the land assessment and all those things. These are all known. So we have to live with that. So the maximum utilization, as an example, I can give you, one of the oldest steel plants in India, Tata Steel, started 100 years ago with about 1600 to 1700 acres and producing 0.13 million ton of iron and steel. Now today, after more than 100 years, very little had been added and it is producing 11 million tons. So practically, it is a very good example, which I can share with you through my experience, because I was handling those projects for the last maybe 30 years. So utilization of asset gainfully without disturbing the outside plant periphery having practically disturbing the water utilization. The same plant and the same plant area has delivered steel, which is added to not only to the company's benefit, but to the country. In a similar manner, other big producers are doing this. Right now, nearly 1 lakh acres of land are with government companies, because I don't want to elaborate because land is such an issue. There may be problem because the promoters, they want more land, whereas we don't have land. So the role of the engineers, the consulting engineers have to play a big role here. So consulting, it's not only ending at consulting, it's engineering interface. So the consulting engineer's job is to utilize every bit of land in a gainful manner. Now, the one thing has been added now in an environment friendly manner. We cannot afford to spoil the environment, then nothing will be allowed. So this is the imperative in the present times, not only in India, in Europe and any other countries. So the aim is maximization. As I told, the aim is asset managing in totality as a whole, not tidbits. So originally, what we saw maybe 30 or 40 years ago in the plant, people were it was more or less manually managed. Things were known. There were operating manuals, maintenance manuals, everything was there, but it was in a space, it was not in totality. The thoughts were, I have done my bit of work, but that doesn't mean in totality, the output of one goes to the input. So this is going away, and this is what the asset management with digitalization is coming up. Now, the efficient asset integrity is only possible with technology innovation. Why? The world is global. Those days are gone. Whatever you produce, be it metals, be it anything, will sell. No, because there are other competitors. There is a country just waiting to sell everything all over the world. So we have to be economic in our production and planning. So efficient asset integrity is only possible with technology innovation, which comes through digitalization right now. In our life, we have seen Industry 3 transformation into Industry 4. So automation, we have seen, it is being transferred to Industry 4. The need is efficient asset integrity through adoption of Industry 4 digitalization. Need now, the main issue is human adaptability to technology. There is always a problem. I should not say problem. The people are trying to adapt themselves to technology, but there, as usual, there are always certain restrictions. The younger generations are very well geared to adapt to new technology, whereas experienced middle level and little senior people are yet to adapt to the new technology. We cannot get rid of the senior people because we have to get their experience for asset management. Asset management, but when I think of asset management, it is a good operation and maintenance so that the output is both economically viable as well as quality, environment friendly, and marketable. Otherwise, no industry can survive. The next is integrity management issues. What are the major integrity management? Design and engineering, manufacturing, operation, maintenance, interactive functioning. This in a brief manner, is a vast subject. Instead of getting into so many details, design and engineering. So from our practical experience, design and engineering plays a big role at the design level. What we saw when we started our career decades ago, the design was manual. The drawings and documents which enabled construction were manual. And many more people were involved. Now it is known that the drawing and document preparation has been vastly improved with data bank, which can be used for many projects to suit its adaptability to that particular. Say a plant, whatever plant, aluminium or mining industry, the capacity being known, the land area being known, the drawings are practically interchangeable. The CAD has created a real revolution, and with its software utilized for civil and structural and piping. So this has really revolutionized the design and engineering concept. 3D working has really wonderfully advanced, and less time is taken in 3D engineering, which is being carried out by most of the companies. The drawings, when a person clicks on a pipe, an example, its diameter, wall thickness, everything comes out. So now these 3D drawings are transferred to the fabricators. And in fact, one of the big projects in Western India, they are not accepting any non-3D drawings. The industry doesn't accept. These 3D drawings are put into the machines, which fabricate various items. It can be a structure, it can be piping, it can be that itself takes care of the actual size of transfer, because everything is not done fabricated at the local industry, local plant. It is transferred over distances. So it's an absolute 3D engineering has really revolutionized the whole concept of design and engineering input implementation. But that doesn't mean human brain is not working. Without human brain, design and engineering, some specialists should always be there, so that wrong software is not used. That will play a havoc, and it sometimes happens also. Next comes manufacturing integrity. Manufacturing integrity, as the word goes now, it's a smart manufacturing. You know what is to be manufactured. It's a really overlap between what I said, 3D and 3D manufacturing. 3D manufacturing, if it really has gone to such a level that 3D printing of machines are being done. So it started in India, and in Europe, it's in a massive scale, it is being done. 3D manufacturing, that's paving a revolutionary advancement in the manufacturing technology. Manufacturing means it should be manageable, means nothing should be manufactured exceeding the budget. So the techno-economics comes into the picture, its adaptability, its utility, everything is being taken care of through the modern approaches of asset management, you say asset management, or digitalization. Next come operation. Operation, the last speaker also spoke. Operation is such a subject. I have written operation maintenance differently, as used to happen earlier, but now we call it O&M. Operation and maintenance should be together. And operating personnel doesn't know anything about maintenance aspects, cannot happen. And a maintenance man without operating personnel cannot happen. I started my career in maintenance, but we had to also deal with operational aspect. If you don't know anything, we can't have. Now the integrity, one example I'll give you, say a rolling mill. You have an idea of what a rolling mill is. The rolling mill rolls, life of a rolling mill roll is such a critical subject. Very few people in the world knows. There are softwares, there are many things, but if the manual says you have to change the roll after say 1000 hours of rolling, you have to change. If we don't, I myself has seen that it's cracked through the center of the roll. Means nobody knows how. At that time, people did not know the reasons. Now, due to advancement of various aspects of detailed design and digitization and asset management, this is also an asset, because if the rolling mill roll breaks, the company suffers hugely in techno-economics, in the profiting. So the operational maintenance now goes together. Now these two aspects The most important thing is history, or we call it lessons learned. So lessons learned used to be there earlier also, but the lessons learned have been digitized nowadays, so that what happened in that particular operating failure or maintenance failure is maintained in the lessons learned, which is digitized to put it to the management. This management is not a financial manager or a plant manager. He is a plant execution manager who's there. So he knows beforehand. The basic issue is preemptive maintenance, pre-planned work. So these are pre-planned. The aim nowadays is pre-planned working. We cannot just haphazardly go around and plan some maintenance. It has to be pre-planned maintenance and pre-planned operation. Now, interactive functioning is the most important thing. So what happens? Say a mining industry. Mining industry is a core of any country. The mining industry, the mining personnel take out from Mother Earth, say whatever, coal or iron ore or whatever, alumina for aluminium. So that has to be transferred to some stockyard, or certain amount of working has to be done. So now this chain reaction, the mines do not say that my job is over until and unless that is being transferred to the next user, next processor. It has no meaning. The next processor again passes on to the logistics, so that ultimately it comes to the user plant. So the earlier speaker spoke about railways. It is an enormous infrastructure. So the infrastructure again gets clubbed and integrated with the integrity management of interactive functioning. This I talked in a bigger perspective, but interactive functioning in any plant, those days are gone when a lathe machine will produce something and that will go taken by hand to somebody for the next step. So now it is all online, like an automobile plant. This automobile plant is an ideal example of interactive functioning. One step after another is already pre-programmed or pre-planned. The next is design and engineering integrity. Ultimately, earlier I talked about the design and engineering. Maintainability and interchangeability is a subject which need to be looked into. I mean, sometimes what happens, used to happen, which is now improving a lot, maintainability and interchangeability cannot be overlooked. Otherwise, the plant working will be a big problem. Operational strategy are pre-planned and set. Layout is one of the most important aspects. I talked about, say, a plant in the same land area producing many times more of production. This is not only in steel, for everything. We have to take into account one thing. Land is the most critical issue. Water, use of water will be a big problem. So the water usage has undergone a sea change in recent years. Earlier days, I don't know, some of you who are aware of the steel plants and metal plants, there used to be big ponds like lakes. It used to be called open circuit cooling. Now this open circuit cooling has come to closed circuit cooling with only some amount of water for evaporation. This has created a sea change in operational strategy and maintainability, interchangeability, and layout. Huge amount of land is saved now. We do not require such big lakes in any plant, except for storage of water in case of emergency. Now, installation planning is one of the most important, because what I am talking, everything is again associated with overall functioning of the asset. It cannot be taken in isolation. Installation should be in a manner that crisscross movement logistically is not allowed. Crisscross movement only delays the operation. It increases cost, operating cost, and it's not beneficial. So the planner or the consulting engineers, whoever plans, will have to think about installation in such a manner that there is a term called ton meter. how much ton you are transferring over meters. So more the TM, you inquire more loss, but this TM should be such logistics that it's such a loco with rakes come in, it goes out in a circular fashion. So these are certain things which again takes involved in the asset management. In a way, the logistics cost has to be controlled. Otherwise, these days, this is a huge cost. Unnecessary transportation cost is huge all over the world. The railway transportation per ton of material cost is going up like anything. Now, interdiscipline interfaces. This is something, whatever the industry may be, interdiscipline interfaces means the, say, gas, input gas, which is required for the process, water required for the process, compressed air required. So these interfaces should be such, again, it takes care of safety, it takes care of not crisscross movement, and takes care of environment protection. You must have noticed a lot of accidents have taken places for gas leakage, creating havoc all over the place. So these are environmental things which has gone into the design factors, design and engineering integrity. So say oxygen and other gases was dangerous gases. So to plan it properly so that the asset is being maintained in a proper manner. Materials compatibility, that is transferability of material from one unit. Say you don't maintain huge inventory of different materials. Aim is to standardize utilization of different materials for compatibility so that a group of materials for this application, for that application is maintained. This again is part of asset management through digitization, because this has again revolutionized this thing. Standardization and material compatibility goes sometimes together. Standardization is a thing which all of us know is accepting standard. Nowadays, standard, say whatever it is, if it is a ASTM standard, DIN standard, IS standard, BIS standard, whatever, some standard have to be maintained in the industry. Otherwise, it becomes haphazard. There is no accountability. In case of failure, it cannot be tracked. This again is a part of asset management and digitization. Safety, that's paramount, no question of any discussion. So safety aspects through various sensors, that this place, there is a chance of gas leakage, there's a gas meters available, or this place is dangerous with respect to certain ways. So safety has to be of paramount interest. Manufacturing integrity means manufacturing design as a function of components and assembly to ensure seamless integration. At the time of sub-assembly and assembly, it should be more as much seamless as possible so that crisscross arrangement and this non-functioning chances of these things are not there. This again is a part of asset management, which is a technological asset managing thing, which has again with 3D implementation and other digitization techniques and modern tools, it has vastly improved. Manufacturing and dispatch after shop assembly and function test. This is known, nothing new, but what has come now, especially not only in the COVID days, we know we are handling a project where from Europe, people are managing the assembly because the item is manufactured in Europe, dispatched, assembled, shop assembly done. Functional tests can not always be done at the manufacturing site because it may require water. That is being done at the project site, which is being controlled through remotely. This is another great achievement of digitalization from Europe. It is being instructed to people there because the country is having war and the situation is not good. So things are nicely going on from remote control. So this function, these assembly tests are being conducted at site with remote managing from far distance. Sequential erection planning, this is known because non-sequential planning unnecessarily, again, it has to be dismantled and erected, where these used to be this is quite normal earlier days, but now these are gone because of this concept of what you say, digitization or higher level of computerization. Risk analysis is definitely a part. A lot of bad things and unsafe things happen. So beforehand, the risk analysis is put into the system so that the system sensors give the alarm at appropriate time. The risk analysis initially is done by the management people who design the system, basically the system designer. But that implementation of that is very important. So someone from the plant operating side or the industry operating side should see to it that those sensors and instruments are functioning, because in process industries, mining, steel, aluminum, power, a lot of things happen sometimes where only theoretical aspects cannot drive the plant. So the practical people should interface and analyze those risks. Construction safety has assumed extremely important. Earlier days, there used to be rampant accidents. These are not acceptable. And this is one of the most important aspect of safety. Now, the safety in construction is something which nowadays is pre-planned item by item in 3D drawings. It is extrapolated and put into different items, putting together so that the ultimate erection can be done seamlessly and in a safe manner. Operational integrity.
Can you tail up in about 3 or 4 minutes, sir? We are.
Yes. I think it is
maximum.
It is done. I think I'll skip this. It is
okay.
Now comes digitalization. So basically, earlier speakers have spoken elaborately about digitalization. It was a good elaborate talk. I would like to briefly touch upon digitalization is a foreseeable future work method as an outcome of globalization and resultant changed market scenario. And add to it a pandemic situation like this. We are all in a digitalization mode, working remotely from wherever we are. So this cannot be underestimated. Encompass in Internet of Things, this need not be because all the units have their sensors through which, through Internet, the data is available to the decision maker. Big data analysis and artificial intelligence. Big data analysis is a big thing where GPH and other things are involved. Artificial intelligence is gaining ground. Government of India has opened up an artificial intelligence center, I think in Hyderabad or Visakhapatnam. So that is a center of excellence. So that's the future. We cannot underestimate that. No question of underestimating. It's going on. Cloud computing, which is being followed by many companies, my earlier company also, with all the data are put in the cloud so that it is available to say 500 people whenever they want, they drag it out. That's a big achievement. Robotics and automation. Robotics, auto industry runs on robotics, and automation, of course, as days are passing, it increases. Machine learning, because the individuals who actually operate the machines are always not required, but the machine sensors will be essential to give feedback data. 3D printing I talked about. Bioinformatics is known. Now, effects of digitalization. What is the effects? Is known. Reduction in non-performance. The quality improves. Safety is ensured. And whatever is desired is mostly achieved. Effective asset health evaluation. This is a big subject in a big country where a lot of old plants are there. Asset health. Example is steel structure operating for 50 years or 60 years. Asset health evaluation through digitalization is an extremely important, and it is being taken up by various organizations. Production planning goes without saying. The aim is predictive energy management, predictive to product quality, because these are certain direct examples. Now, to close the issue, effectiveness of digitalization through simulation of human intelligence in machines programmed to act. This is of paramount importance. Human intelligence should act in conjunction with the machines which are programmed to act. We cannot leave the machines alone. Lessons learned data bank interface with digitalization, which is being done and which is a big thing. What happened earlier and what happens now, it can be done. Being real-time based, utility for predictive plant management system at all levels. Basically, the aim is predictive plant management system. Effect for asset health evaluation, effective. All assets health evaluation is recorded, action taken as and when required. Can utilize full potential of Industry 4 by digitalization of entire value chain. All the big industries have an enormous value chain. So the future of the industry is hinged on digitalization, predictive management, starting with Industry 4.0. So with this, I would like to end my presentation. Thank you for your patient hearing.
Thank you, Mitra sir. Thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. And your rich experience has really given us a deep insight into the various aspects that we need to consider in this whole area of asset management. You've touched upon the issues of plant and planning and the Industry 4.0 requirements, where we need to go. And for that, we are very grateful to you. Can I now call upon the next speaker, Mr. Pradeep Chaudhary. His topic will be management of highway assets, present and future. He is working as Senior Vice President with Bharat Road Networks Limited, which is a part of the Shrey Group. He has a BE from Shibpur and presently IESET, which is now called IESET, with Diploma in Business Management from IMT, Ghaziabad, and PG Diploma in Infrastructure Management. And he has worked with Shrey for quite some time and is considered an expert in this area. So, sir, over to you. Go ahead.
You are muted. You are muted. Please remove muting.
Just unmute yourself, sir.
Unmute.
Bottom left.
No, you are still muted. Bottom left. Mr. Chaudhary, go to the screen, bottom left.
Is it audible now, sir?
Yes.
Start again, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, CEI, for creating this nice platform on their Diamond Jubilee celebration. I also thank you, Mr. Amitabh Ghoshal, Dr. Subbarao, and other eminent members of CEI. I also thank you to my previous speaker, Dr. Nabil Sethi, Professor Pradeep Roy, and Subhrata Mitra. A long time has gone, so I will just go for a quick presentation, not taking much time. Today, I would like to have a brief discussion on highway asset management and its future way forward. Basically, I will not talk from a consultant or management background, but will talk from my industry experience. I will cover my presentation in 3 phases. First, an overview of Indian highway. Second, how and what we do to maintain and manage the highway. And third is the future technology. So first is quite a small Indian highway snapshot. In India, we have almost 5.89 million kilometers of roads, and the state highway contribution is only 3%, which is 1.56 lakhs kilometer. National highway is around 2%, which is 1.32 lakhs kilometer, and rest is other major district road, village road, and other ancillary roads. If you see this, government has spent a good quantum of money on developing these national highways and state highways across India. And today, almost 90% of road passengers, that is a passenger, that is common Indian mass, they use the highways, either state highways or national highways. So the road is basically, it comes into the play to the daily affairs of the common Indian mass. And government has planned almost 100 billion USD expenditure to develop is another 84,000 kilometers of highway in next 5 years, which is inclusive of around 35,000 kilometers of Bharatmala project, as a total spending of around 5.35 lakh crores. Bharat Road Network, I'll give a quick overview. What we do, we are one of the old players in BOT highway development, and we have developed 6 highway projects and with a total 2,200 lane kilometers spreading across in different states of India, whereas our annual toll revenue is something around 6,500 million. Now, how the Indian highway development model has transformed in India. This is a path. While we started developing a real so-called highways in India during 1990s to 2005, development was basically purely on BOQ-based contract. That would have been a government-funded projects where the respective contractors, they used to develop the highways, and there was 1 or 2 years of defect liability period. And after that, the maintenance used to come to the government. From 2005 to 2014, we have seen a lot of changes in the development model. The BOQ-based contract was there, but on top of it, the DVFOT, BOOT, or the PPP model came into play, where the developer used to develop the highway at his own cost and then taking the concession for next 15 to 25 years. And another model of annuity-based highway development with the 15 years of contract. From 2014 to 17, we have seen that BOQ-based contract has been converted to EPC-based contract, which was a lump sum sort of value on which value the contractor has to develop the highway. The DBFOT pattern was continuing, but the annuity-based contract was converted to hybrid annuity model. That means the entrepreneur, he will develop the highway and he will get the return in next 15 years, the different proportion of 40, 60, whatever. From 2017 to 2020, the model again got a change. The EPC-based contract is still there, but DBFOT projects almost vanished because of a lot of liquidity crunch among different developers. Hybrid annuity model was continuing, but TOT model came. In the TOT model, what it happens that around 5 to 6 highways are being put together in a basket, and that is taken up by some developer who has to do the maintenance, and he has to collect the toll with certain sort of revenue sharing to the government. So in the highway operation and maintenance, what we do today, that I'm coming to my second part of the presentation. When the highway is developed, the developer or the concessionaire, he has to do the maintenance of the highway, like cleaning of highway, different routine maintenance, pavement rehabilitation, overlay maintenance, electrical maintenance, horticultural, and other aspects of structural improvements, etc., including safety. You must have experience as a road user while we are using these highways. There may be a lot of several failures, failures on the pavement, failures on the flexible pavement or on the rigid pavement. But of course, this is not the forum to discuss on that. That will be purely a technical discussion, which can be dealt separately. Why the timely maintenance is necessary? This is a very vital factor. First of all, if you don't maintain the highway, then your life cycle cost goes up, the longevity of the highway reduces, and that also we are compromising with the safety and accident prone for the road user. And this also creates a economic burden on the passenger and the freight traffic, because he has to cover the highway with much longer time, with much energy inefficient way. So the timely maintenance, it has to be necessary. These are the other operation and maintenance what we do on the highway, that is highway patrol with the route patrol vehicle who has to totally monitor the asset 24/7, all this accident management through helpline numbers, remove all the distressed vehicle from the highway with a trained personnel. Then we engage the ambulance on the highway and the cranes to remove the disabled vehicle from the highway. Now, there are few challenges. While we are maintaining and doing the operation on the highway, you'll be facing few challenges. Some of them are maintenance related, some of them are operation related. Maintenance related, sometimes budget is the constraint, but on top of it, that is the mindset. Why I should maintain? Let it be 100 potholes on the highway. Let the user, maybe, because anyhow I'm collecting the revenues from the highway. But the mindset and the limited knowledge, because today these 100 potholes may create a longer structural rehab, rectification later on with much higher cost. So that is purely a mindset. Besides, there may be a remote terrain where really you cannot maintain the highway like you are doing on a hilly area where the weather is adverse, where the terrain is adverse. So those may be the challenges. Now we face the operational challenge. While you will be using the road and while you are coming to a plaza, sometimes you may be irritated that I am standing behind a queue of 20 vehicles and I'm waiting for 5 minutes. Why the hell I am not getting passed through the toll plaza quickly? Now that is a real challenge in Indian scenario. Earlier, even 5 years back, most of the traffic we used to collect toll through cash. Now the cash is replaced to the ETC, that is electronic toll collection system. In the electronic toll collection system, if you have the RFID tag on your vehicle, the RFID reader should not take more than 1 second to read your tag. But what happens? The traffic which does not have the RFID tag, which is a cash traffic, he comes to your way. And then he goes to the booth and start arguing. So who is suffering? You have a FASTag, you should zoom past the toll plaza within 1 second or 2 seconds, but you are getting suffered because of the cash traffic has come on your way. Then number two, that still there is a poor interest of cashless toll payment. Maybe 5 years back, it was 100% vehicle which was passing the plaza, they used to pay in cash. But today the scenario is very good. It has almost touched 70% across India. Of course, it depends from place to place. But still the 30% traffic, suppose a truck driver, he has RFID tag, but he will not use the tag. He want to pay the cash. So that creates a problem on the highway, that if he uses the RFID tag, he not only passes the plaza quickly, but he can create passage for the other road users. Then there is another problem, that no money in his card. There are political and administrative pressure that you have to give exemption. I have a political rally, so 1,000 vehicles will cross the plaza without paying the toll. Speed breakers on road, and top of it, poor driving sense and wrong lane driving. If you travel the Bombay road, NH6, you might be encountering a lot of overloaded trucks are coming on your way from the opposite direction. You are driving at a speed of 100 kilometers, suddenly you find a truck is coming dead opposite you and approaching to you. So this is really a poor driving sense, which is a challenge for doing a smooth operation on Indian highway. Now, new technology. because this whatever I have discussed so far, this has developed in last 4-5 years, but now there is a lot of way forward where we can make it a real user-friendly highway and a good experience to travel. Some of the new technology, this electronic toll collection system, I think most of the viewers, they have experienced that, that if they have RFID tag, they can pay the toll fees through the ETC system. They need not take out the cash from their wallet. And this electronic system give us a lot of advantages: the traffic data management, the classification of vehicle, and the data of the vehicle. Then we have an advanced traffic management system, that ATMS. Now ATMS has come, but it has still not widely spread across all the highways, which is going to come in near future. Then we have way in motion. This way in motion, I will deliberate in a separate slide later, because the overloading factor can be really controlled and monitored through this way in motion technology. Another new technology, this is recycling, because on every 5th or 6th year when you are doing a maintenance on the highway, you are doing overlay. So what we used to do is that we either will scrap out that pavement layer, and that will be a waste for you. But today's market, we don't have the luxury to waste such a costly material like bitumen, aggregate, petroproducts, which is really costly in India. So the type of recycling are slowly getting developed, that is cold recycling, cold in place recycling, hot recycling, hot in place recycling. So like hot recycling, what is done, that pavement is milled, that material is collected, then it is pulverized, it has do some homogeneous sort of screening, and then it has put back to the hot mix plant, recycled, adding some agent, some bitumen, and again relay on the surface. So that really reduces your cost, and not only cost, it reduces the material which would have been thrown out. Another new technology that is now widely promoted by Government of India, that is a plastic waste utilization in asphalt mix. In India, we produce daily almost 1.8 lakhs metric ton of different sort of waste, and plastic waste contributes almost 10% of that municipal solid waste. Now, if this plastic, it is not only a hazard to the environment, but it creates a long-term effect on human life. We must be aware of it. So if you can really use this plastic into your asphalt mix, you are not only getting a relief from your environmental hazards, but you are recycling the product to the mix, which can give you a better stability and strength. And on top of it, it can reduce your bitumen content in the mix. So this is really a good areas where the extensive work should come, and these uses of plastic should come in a good way in the highway industry. Now, what is our future asset management, improvement, and way forward? These are different technologies, that is automated fare collection system, electronic toll collection system, and road infrastructure monitoring through GPS based or through different platforms, how we can do it. I will elaborate some of them in my next slide. First is increased priority in the road safety. Even if you do the highways, all highways are not, we can say it is not like a real terms of expressway, or it is not an access control highway. So safety still is a major concern on the highway. Now what government has initiated, that addressing few black spots where the real accident happens frequently. So identifying those black spots and then creating some solution so that the accident which used to earlier happen, that reduces. And it can create some IT-based alert that those areas, if something happens, then immediately the rescue team can reach there. Next is adopting more IT-enabled solution, which I discussed, that 100% cashless transaction through RFID. You can download that software ATMS on your mobile app. So while you're driving the highway, you know how the highway is in front of you, whether there any sort of congestion, any sort of disturbance, weather is good, bad, all sorts of information you can get on your mobile app. Recycling technology, I have already discussed. Now, next is that closed tolling system. What happens today? Suppose you are driving a highway, maybe the highway is a 50 kilometer long. You pay a toll for the total 50 kilometer, although you may be traveling only 25 to 30 kilometer of the highway. Now, in this closed tolling system, if you travel 30 kilometer, you have to pay toll only for 30 kilometer. So while we are exiting from the highway, you swipe your card, the data automatically will show how much length you have traveled on the highway, and you pay pro rata to that. So that is a closed tolling system which can be beneficial for the user also. He need not pay for the full road. Then solar technology. This has come newly, particularly in Eastern Peripheral Expressway. This technology has been put up. We have, I think there are almost 4 megawatts volume of solar panels has been put. Even we can put the small solar panel with lithium battery on the highways, which can be self-sustained. It has a long life. And on top of it, if the traffic of the highway is less, maybe during night, then you can control your illumination. Otherwise, it is a waste of your electricity energy. Next is auto challan. If you're overspeeding on the highways, the camera through ATMS will automatically create a challan, and the fines will be coming to your system that you have to pay such and such fine because you have overspeeded the vehicle. Next is green cover. Now here also there is a good thrust from the government. A lot of tree plantation is going on over the median, over the shoulder, which really can control the carbon emission. It's a very good for the environment, and highway really gives a good contribution to the plantation of the trees. This way in motion, I had discussed previously how it works. See, Indian highway, because of overloading, the statistics says there is almost 22,000 life, that is 13% of the total accident, that is fatal accident, that is because of overloading. It is not only a hazard as a part in terms of accident, but it damages the road pavement substantially. Besides, it creates a lot of pollution, noise, and high fuel consumption. So how we control that? Now, again, in the EP, in way in motion, now it has been mandatory for all the toll plazas. We put a sensor-based way in motion on the pavement. So you can cross the beam maybe at 40, 60 kilometer speed, and it will give you the weights of the vehicle. May not be 100%, but at least 95% accuracy on a running vehicle. So how you control? Like again on EP, all the entry points, the beam has been placed. So you can do a filtration that if vehicle is overloaded, you can check the vehicles at the entry point itself. And not only that, there may be an alarm system will be created through camera, capture these offending vehicles, and it will come to the control room, and he will be stopped at the entry itself or on the midway. There is one more initiation has been taken. Of course, that may not be good for a long term, that if any vehicle is caught overloaded, he can be fined 10 times of the toll fees he's supposed to pay. Advanced traffic management system, this also I have discussed earlier, that there are, earlier we used to put through web-C cable, now it is totally server-based. This is an automatic traffic counter classifier. We can classify the different vehicle category based on their length and number of axles. Then the total data of the vehicle, and to interrupt the vehicle in case it violates, it can be done from the command control center. There is a meteorological system which can give you the met data. The vehicle can see the met data in front, whether the road has some issue or it is cloudy, rainy, or whatever. Then you have surveillance system all across the highway, and then variable message sign across the highway. Finally, it is a open road tolling. Maybe in in future years, this open road tolling will be coming, while this cashless transaction in the toll plazas will be totally implemented. So there will not be any plaza. It will be only few RFID readers, some cameras, and you can zoom past, and automatically the toll fees will get debited from your e-payment wallet. So it can save your time, less congestion at the road, free flow traffic, and on top of it, it is compatible that suppose with the same e-payment card, you can travel highway, you can travel in a train or bus, which is yet to come, but definitely these are all going to come. So with this, I just do end of my session, and now I go back to Dr. Subbarao for doing further moderation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that excellent presentation on road assets and the use of future technologies, which will greatly help in managing these assets well, economically, and keeping them in functionality. As you suggested, these technologies, some are already in place and some are yet to get in place. And of course, there's the education of the user, which is also slowly gaining currency and becoming important. With that, and of course, one must realize that the road asset, as you pointed out in that graphic, nearly 60-65%. So the thrust is there on the road assets, and these are to be well managed with a good, effective asset management system at all levels. So with that, we thank all the speakers, and I'll ask Mr. Kishore Kumar to kindly come online and give his comments as a panelist, and also hopefully answer some of the questions in the Q&A chat. And I could also ask the other panelists to answer the Q&A chats if they can on live as we're now going ahead. Yeah. Mr. Kishore Kumar, can you?
Yeah, I am there. I hope I am seen. Yeah, I am seen basically, because
yes.
The whole problem is that I didn't make a presentation.
No, that's fine. It's
so I want to be seen, and then I want to tell you some different things.
Right.
Only thing was, now I am addressing the participants. Basically, I was a little lost, because this is, of course, a global aspect of asset management. So my earlier speakers, rather all the speakers, were talking on various things, except Mr. Partha, who has brought me to my parent field. The people who do not know me, they should know that I am from highway field, and I have a passion for the field, and you may see it in the next 5 minutes of my talk with you. So I hope some concessionaires are there, or some contractors are there, or as OMT contractors, or somebody who are interested in accrediting themselves by IS 55000. So for development of procedures, and of course, to do the asset management, you need documented procedures, and how to do that and how to go about it. That is what the first speaker, Dr. Naval, has, Mr. Naval Shetty, has explained. And he also opened up opportunities for the people who want to see it as a career, and diplomas, and then ultimately you can become lead assessors, something like that, equivalent to lead assessors of ISO. So these two things are very important. So for the companies who want to get accredited for asset management, and also for the people, for the engineers who are looking at asset management as a career. Then afterwards, it was global level presentations. The other two people also, water, rail, steel, all that. So being a highwayman, it was a little difficult for me, but they had the same principles, the risk, the cost, and the performance and the benefit that is drawn. But only thing I was seeing is, where is the focus? Whether the focus is towards the owner, or whether it is towards the customer. I slip to highways slowly and quickly. Whereas if it is customer, then in the highway perspective, customers are two. One is the users of the road, and second is, more importantly, in fact, the residents of the community who have actually foregone their land, and some of them, they have foregone their livelihood also. So whatever asset management we do should be customer focused. Yes, risk, cost, performance, everything is perfectly all right, but it should serve the public. That is more important. So we have to meet the expectations of both these customers. What do they want? Let us see, the users of the road want a good riding quality. Beyond the metrics, we may say, yes, my IRI is 2, 2.2, 2.5. It is not at 3,000. I mean, it's not at 3. So why worry? I'm fine. But they don't want that. They want beyond that. You may say the cracking is fine. It is within the allowable percentage. But they don't want jerks on the structures. They don't want jerks on the roads. They want good aesthetics beyond that. They want good landscape. Overall, they want a good experience, a feel-good experience when you travel on the road. But do we give them? Not many roads meet the expectations of the users. When we visit the roads abroad, we see wonderful curves. The people who have visited, most of you might have visited US, you see long, fluent curves, crash barriers all along, flat side slopes, beautifully turfed, wire rope crash barriers in the middle of the slopes. The whole feel is excellent. They build the road to exact widths, line and level. Shoulders are not wider than required. Say we want only 1 meter. Our people, they build 2 meters. Says we are giving you more, sir. We want only 2:1 slope, but they will give us 4:1 slope or at random. That they will tell, we are giving it. Why do you worry? But slopes are not flatter than what is shown on the drawing board. Why don't we get exactly what we want? Why do we waste natural resources by providing extra widths and flatter slopes? Why are we careless about slope protection and beautification? Don't we deserve good and beautiful roads, the client and the users? We very much deserve. Then what's the problem? All we have to do is demand. Client, consultants, developers, each one of us, users, each one of us should demand from the contractors. Users should demand a great experience on our roads. For me, the asset is road, and how to maintain it. For the owner, the user dictates, the customer dictates. This brings us to the fact that quality of asset management depends on the quality of the asset built. If you are given a good asset, then you can manage it well, because sometimes the builder is someone and then the operator is someone. So if the operator is given a bad asset, how can he manage it well? I don't want to divert your attention, but improving the quality of building of asset is improving the quality of building of the asset is the need of the hour. It's not only asset management. I briefly mentioned that the residents of the community are also customers, and it's important. I'll explain a situation where the concessionaire built a high embankment in a rural built-up area. It's a high embankment of 7-8 meters, good slope, fine. Without chute drains, without dissipation chambers, without a tow drain, and he took COD also. That means it is put on operation and he's collecting the toll. Stating that they are not giving land, so we have kept it in punch list. Rains came. Water flowed down the slopes, eroded everything on the slopes, flooded the area and filled the houses. Imagine ourselves in their position. Things kept in punch lists are never completed. They're rarely completed. After 10 years also, I'm trying to see whether some punch list is completed in a new project where I have joined. PCCs are given, but CCs are delayed by years. Actually, time allowed is only 90 days or 120 days, depending upon the type of the contracts, but they take so long. Second aspect is we build side drains. Most of the times they are stated to be catering to the drainage of the pavement. I don't deny the fact, but where do the residents go? The drainage from the countryside is also supposed to be taken care of. We generally say it is for the municipalities or panchayats to take care of the drainage of the town. Well, it is thought-provoking. We have to see the owners, the authorities, how to think whether we have to build drains for the pavement and also the residents. I only wanted to say it is the customer who has to be served, who has the say, and who has to say whether we are serving well, not our clients or authorities. The customer has to say whether we are serving them well or not. So, and one or two simple problems, assets built by widening the existing roads suffer a lot of problems during O&M period. So this we have to see all the owners, all the operators or the TOT operators, whoever is trying to take a particular project has to understand where is the existing road and what is the quality of the road and what is the history of the pavement that has gone into it. How much our operator tries to maintain or rehabilitates, things don't come to the desired level. I know a TOT operator, he's struggling. Ultimately, I know that it is not properly built at the ground level. Bypasses suffer on account of unscrupulous compaction in 1 meter layers. And we see operators struggle to maintain the road on account of all such things. I want to stress that all the procedures given in the book have to be followed scrupulously. If 1.5 meter shoulder is required, give 1.5 meter shoulder. If 2:1 slope is required, by whatever means, the contractor must give 2:1 slope. And the turfing has to be done properly. It should be neat, clean, and wonderful. When somebody goes, he should have an experience. I have a few suggestions on asset management. They are a little different from whatever we have been discussing. I don't want to be expressive on this. I want to be short and sweet. We have assets. Some speaker, I think Mr. Ray, Professor Ray told there should be an asset register. Now the systems have changed. So yes, asset have to be registered. Then data has to be collected and the data has to be attached to the assets. How do we do that? For that, step one, it has to be attached to certain system, reference system. So agencies, any agency should fix up GPS pillars all along the national highway road network. In fact, I want that the main authority, National Highway Authority, should commission some 4 or 5 agencies to fix up GPS pillars all along the National Highway Road network, which are like the railway boundary pillars, which cannot be disturbed, and their coordinates should be known. Now, what are we doing? Then inventory of assets on this entire road should be taken. Today, the inventory is being taken by network survey vehicle. This vehicle does not have a lot of accuracy. We have compared with our LiDAR and NSV. We have used LiDAR and also the network survey vehicle, and we found that there is a lot of difference because of the accuracy of the GPS that we put on NSV. So if we use LiDAR and take one set of mapping, inventory of assets, and the entire road network should be done with high accuracy LiDAR by linking the data to GPS pillars. Current inventory with the network survey vehicle is unable to establish such accuracy. With this, all the assets will be geotagged. I hope you people know today, NHA is geotagging even plants. And they have asked us to deploy a horticultural specialist or horticulturist to do all this. And this LiDAR survey can be repeated at predetermined intervals. Now, a lot of data is being generated. There is no difference between the developing countries and us so far as the infrastructure is concerned, except one that I will tell you. We have a lot of infrastructure and we collect a lot of data. But what is happening to the data? We carry out condition surveys with NSV FWD, MBAU, and RRMs for signboards and pavement marking and all every 6 months or 1 year, and create terabytes of data for each 10 meters or each 100 kilometers, each 10 kilometers or 100 kilometers. But what do we do with that? The data should be analyzed and used for calibration of HDM model. We don't know how to do it now. Even we can develop our own deterioration models. The data, when I do whatever survey I do, is with me only. It is nowhere else. When some roughness is more than 3, then we ask the concessionaire or the contractor to do something over there, some overlay, some renewal. Otherwise, the data is with me only, but the data belongs to the client. And what will happen? So much of data, so much decentralized, lying with various consultants, contractors. Something has to be done. The academic institutions, the research organizations like CRRI should be commissioned to carry out this task of predictive and prescriptive modeling. We should be able to draw and generate some useful information for the big data that we have. We have data, but no information. We can use all the machine learning tools to study the patterns and do the predictions. Digital twin technology is used in various fields. Of course, digital twin is a different thing. There you should be able to control also what is going to happen. Suppose a windmill is there. You have generated a digital twin of the windmill, and then the wind directions change, the wind speeds change, and the speed and other maintenance factors and everything is there. So now if you want to optimize the production, optimize in the sense cost wise also and the unit wise also, if you want to optimize, you should know which direction and all that. After that, automatically the system should orient the windmill in that direction, depending upon the wind speed and all. So that is controlling backwards. But that is not possible with road assets. You have a bridge. What we do with a bridge, most of you know. We put sensors and we collect the data, and all that data is taken, and then we develop a parallel twin. And on the twin, we try to understand how the deflections are, and whether the deflections here and the deflections calculated by the design, whether both are same or not. And then we calibrate it. Then afterwards, we try to predict the behavior, and we go on. But we can't control the behavior of a bridge, response of a bridge to a wind or an earthquake or anything. We can't control, but we can always understand what is happening to the twin. Similarly, here we have got road, pavement, and then RE wall, and then structures. We can certainly develop. To my knowledge today, we can only do that. We can only collect information, and we can see how it can behave. Right? SCADA is there. SCADA is for the water sector, where you will be, you attach the sensors, and after that, depending upon the pressures and if there is fire over there, temperature is rising and all that information you will be collecting in the panel. And then there you will be able to even put off the fire, all that. You will be able to do it. SCADA is there with water sector. Now, BIM. BIM is a word that have been used. I tell the concessionaires and other people, whoever is there in this pool, in this audience, that you can develop a BIM model of the road that we have, a 3D model, digital model, from the survey you do carry out from the LiDAR. And the entire road can be modeled. After that, you have a 4-lane structure, and that 4-lane structure you want to make it 6-lane. You don't have to do any redesign or anything. You just handle that 3D model, which is created by BIM, and then it changes all the quantities. It changes all other things because it is developed by a parametric model. So this is the technology that we have to use and create 3D designs. So data and the assets. This is what I am trying to capture the assets, and then capture the data, attach the data, and use it for predictive and prescriptive modeling. And of course, incident management, these are not fixed assets. These are moving assets, I would say. So petrol vehicles, ambulances, cranes, etc. They should be fit with the tracking and communication devices so that those are mapped. Suppose all the tracking devices for all the vehicles and everything is in the state in the road entire network, not only a particular concessionaire. If they are available, then you see where they are, how they are, and you can work on it. Safety management. The biggest problem with us is the speed, overspeed. The only difference I saw.
Less than 100 people now, only 96 people there.
Yeah, the only difference I have seen in US roads and Indian roads is they have speed radars fixed every 2 kilometers. We don't have. I don't even understand why we don't have speed radars today on the National Highway Road network. So we have to have the speed radars, and this requires smart number plates. The number plates we should be able to read the number plates. And with the establishment of speed radars and the number plates and the enforcement of these things, we will be able to bring the accidents down. I'm going to take one more minute, Dr. Harsha. Right. And another thing is we should design forgiving roads, in the sense we only design it for 100 kilometers per hour. Yes, we design it, but people go at 150 kilometers per hour. So that is the reason why we should design our roads without telling others for 150 kilometers hours, for 150 kilometer per hour, with long curves, with proper gradients and all those things. These gradients and transitions, and for higher speeds, if we design, we can design for giving highways. Overloading, there are a couple of issues. I would not like to tell them at this hour. One, because we have reached 6:13. And then second, it's not a technical session. These two factors are very important factors: overloading and bitumen content. Bitumen content, most of you know that they have increased the bitumen content requirement for durability considerations. And because it is increased, they design it differently and execute it differently. And then we are creating problems for the pavements, which is resulting in unstable mixes, which Mr. Partho was highlighting in his slides. Overloading, if we design a road for 150 MSA, it can consume the entire MSA in 1 year. I have seen it with my own eyes. We didn't understand what happened to that road. It was totally killed, totally deteriorated. But later, when we went into the analysis, when we took the axle loads and all, we could understand that enough has passed on that. So 150. So here, by the way in motion and all, we have to actually record what is the consumption that we are making, how much MSA is being consumed every year. So the basic thing what I wanted to tell you regarding asset management was asset register by way of a digital asset register, and then collecting this information and attaching all that information and how it should be used. And having data is not adequate, we should have information from that. We should be able to take information from that. That is what I wanted to tell. And another thing was asset management should be customer focused, and it is not owner focused. It should not be authority focused. Thank you so much. I thank Dr. Harsha and also Mr. Amitabh Ghoshal ji. He has been very kind to me. He has offered this panelist question to me. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for the patience.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for those deep insights of yours on the particularly focused road asset, which is quite important for our country, and your observations and ideas that definitely are required to be seen and gone into, and the fact that it should be user-focused and not authority-focused is a thought for us to take away. How to use asset management, what should be the paradigm of address, that I think that's very important. For whom and for what, the asset management for whom and for what. That's the point you raised, which gives us parallel to other forms of assets and other issues of asset management. There is very little time for taking question answers. I hope the panelists have seen some of the questions. If I can start with Dr. Naval Shetty, if you want to answer any of the questions, or 2 minutes each to sum up, and we'll close the session in 10 minutes. So 2 minutes each. Dr. Naval Shetty, starting with you. Any questions you want to answer, or otherwise summarize, or anything, right? Your view.
Do you want to bring up the questions, or how do we?
As it is, no, you all see the questions, anything you want to answer, maybe. Sure. Otherwise, you just, each panelist just, what's the takeaway that you want what the audience, what you want the audience to go away with from your talk?
Right. Yeah.
Just
yeah. There are a number of good questions there raised, and I just want to probably focus on two of them. One, there was a question about non-performing assets. So how do we actually deal with them? They have been lying idle everywhere in the country. This is a challenge faced by many countries, not just India. I think one of the things you need to look at is there a need for continuing to use that asset? Yeah. If there is need, then you should see what is actually blocking its usage and deriving value from it. If not, for whatever reason, the demand has changed and there is no longer a need for that asset for what it was initially designed and built for. In those cases, you should think about repurposing the asset for a different use. For example, if it is a school building which is no longer required, can you turn it into an office or some other facility? Can it be turned into a hospital now? Because there's a lot of focus on health now. So you need to think about repurposing. I may just give one example here. Dr. Harsha will know this one. There was a Battersea power plant in London. It was sort of disused for maybe nearly 30 years. It was just maintained in kind of stable state, but no use at all really. But more recently, about 5 years ago, there was a new scheme developed to completely regenerate that area of London. And this Battersea power plant, which was very iconic actually, was used as a center for that redevelopment. And a very posh shopping complex has been built up using the existing shell of the Battersea Park. Even Google and Apple have offices there now. It has really really actually catalyzed the whole development and regeneration of that part of London. So you can think of different uses that those assets could be put to. That would be one answer. The second question was about sustainability, I think, was a question. How do you actually plan for sustainability in this one? Can you still hear me? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. How do we plan for sustainability was a question. I think probably best to give one example. In the water companies typically develop a 25-year strategy plus a 5-year plan, which is much more detailed and resourced allocated. In addition to 25-year strategy on how to manage the infrastructure, they also now are required to develop a resilience plan for going to beyond 25 to 50 years. This is all about looking at the climate change impacts, demographic changes, all of the things that may happen over the next 30 to 50 years, and is the water system able to cope with any of those changes in the long term. So that kind of resilience plan is also need to be developed. And if that resilience plan requires the authority and the government to make additional investment to ensure things like flooding and under capacity of water works, all those things are identified in advance because these things will take long time to develop, plan and realize. So those kind of long-term plans are developed to make sure that the asset and the facility remains sustainable for the longer term. I particularly like the kind of emphasis that our moderator put on the customers and users. I just use the word stakeholders. That's the word term used in the standard. Stakeholders are everybody who has a stake in the organization and its assets. That would be the owners of the asset. It would be government or private bodies, the regulators, and more importantly, the customers who use the facility, as well as the general public who may be impacted by the facility. All of those become stakeholders. And the first starting point in asset management is to understand the stakeholders, what are their value expectations, and then everything that we need to do to deliver that value to the stakeholders is the gambit of management. In want of time, I think I would stop there. I'm happy to answer the remaining questions on the system. Yeah.
Can the next speaker in that order, please? The next speaker in that order. So, Professor Roy, anything you want to answer from the questions in the Q&A, or just 2 minutes to give your view? Professor Roy?
The speaker has to be on.
You have to yes, you're okay. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. So now where is the list of questions?
Question and answer. You have to click on that.
Okay, you might.
A
From
question
panel,
answer
there is question and answer.
I've played. So I found Rangoli Rajshekhar.
No, there are so many questions. Some are.
There are so many, in fact, there are 33.
34.
Yeah. So like,
some are addressed to you.
let me, we're still using first question. Someone says, sir, still we are using a data collection manual method. My answer is, the today's context, or, it has been for a long, long time. If you look at, we talk about, the automation, design for automation, design for human assembly. It has never been the case in the engineering systems. When you talk about these factory systems, it's just 200-year-old. So if we concentrate on the factory system and all other systems, supposing, related to the service sectors and like transport and all, what you find, basically, it's a combination of, say, in the today's, one is the human labor. The second one is something, you need to carry out, you can do automation. And with the help of also the facilities you create, in many time at one level, the robotics, so the robots you use for a specific purpose for the dangerous operations. And the third one is the use of computer. And it's a combination. That had never been the case. I just want to, just 1 minute time I should take, till 1980s, across the world, there are the celebrated cases, in fact, the case studies. Please go through. My audience, I request you, because there is a misconception over here. Like, say that everything cannot be automated. And they tried to do that till late 80s. Now, there are many examples in the Xerox machines and IBMs and all. They have put a lot of efforts, 100% automation in the Western world. The Chinese, the Japanese, they never did that, in fact. So they said that, okay, now certain things you can do very easily. There are limited cases which you can do with your fingers, the tying up. If you can hand over this job to a robot hand, you cannot write a program behind it. They have tested, in fact. There are cases, in fact. So they have said the reverse flowing. We say that yes, it's a reverse process. When it is absolutely due, you go for design for human assembly. Demand for human assembly versus the demand for automation. And the design for, not demand, the design for manufacturability, design for maintainability. These are the systems they are creating. And what is the reason? The reason is that I have created my asset. It has come from Europe, or the design, whether I have full control on that. Now, the Indian system, what has happened, on the design aspect, someone has referred to, so the ultimate customers. Gone are those days. We say the internal customers and external customers. Okay, like say quality of design, then the quality of conformance, and then the quality of performance. This they have been doing, in fact, all the European companies they have been doing, and absolutely religiously they're following. So manual doesn't mean, there was, the declaration. I was visiting Japan in 95, 90, around that time. There was a news, I'm telling you, that we are going to establish 100% automated, the factory, 100% automated. There was a declaration in year 2001. Today is 2002, 2020. So they said, no, we'll not do. If it is a dangerous operations, heavy material will do, otherwise not. Is my point. Now there is another study, like the construction. Like say, what I'm telling you, that the manual or no manual doesn't matter. There has to be manual interface. Today, what we are talking about, many kind of, the main reason is today, I'm telling you that the machine is absolutely all right. The person is otherwise excellent. There's not illiterate workforce. They're highly qualified. CNC machine, DNC machines they're handling. When you put the person on the job, nobody knows what will be the reaction. So entire thing, it's not an era of pure technology. It's an era of interface design. So we have been carrying out a lot of studies on this. So the asset is to be defined now. The interface, how do you say that this is an asset with a value? Obviously, it's the interface components. There are 100 such examples. Now, obviously, for a road construction, it's a large systems. It's very difficult. The integration.
I think excuse me, I think what we'll have to do is restrict to answering one question.
Okay.
The rest of the questions will be answered by the authors in writing to the speaker.
I think that is
Okay.
You know, I think.
Can we ask Subrata Mitra?
No, there is another question. Most of the parameters depending on the data collection. This is another comments I get. All the stated.
Sir, I think we will move on to. I think we will allow the other speakers to answer, and you kindly reply in writing to them.
Okay.
So can I move on to Subrata Mitra?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any question you
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So just I had a question online, very good question, which I replied online to save time. It was a hybrid with a subsidy, hybrid vehicles to reduce CO2. It's a good question. I said hybrid vehicles are already online in different parts of the country and abroad, and subsidy can be given initially. We agree to it. So I have replied it online to save time. Thank you.
Right. Can I move on to the Parthur to give his view?
Yes, sir. Thank you. I got a question from Mr. Rabindra Goel, and I have answered also, but in a very short way, I just want to mention that his concern was that why the contract period is on a longer run, so that the design parameter which is considered during execution is covered within that contract period. Yes, that is covered for the DBA40 or HAM model, where the contract is for a span of 15 to 30 years. And normally we do a design of a base course, something between 10 to 15 years as per IRC 37. So I have answered him. And in a very crispy way, I just summarize after a lot of deliberations from the eminent speakers that it is not only the building the asset, but the more concern is how you maintain the asset. And Mr. Kishore Kumar has rightly pointed out the real issue in the highway sector. It is not the customer, not your authority, not the entrepreneur, but ultimate authority is the user. If he doesn't get a feel for a seamless driving on the highway, then whatever you do the design on your paper, it doesn't serve any purpose. He has also pointed out that in US, which I addressed in my presentation, that auto challan, if you do overspeeding, then automatically you get caught. But in India, what happens, of course, that improvement will always come. But in India, what happens when you install the ATCC, you find 10 vehicles, if you take, you will find 8 different types of number plates. It is not similar. Even somebody will put his own photographs on the number plate. So these are all real challenges in Indian market. You really cannot overcome unless the user is, he should be capable to understand the why that sort of comfort can be given to him unless you don't follow certain discipline. Again, the overloading factor, which again Mr. Kishore Kumar has rightly pointed out. But one positive side is that this is from our experience. We used to find overloading on the highway. Suppose you are finding, say, 100 trucks are moving on the highway. You will be find invariably 10 trucks will be overloaded. But thanks to RTOs and different, whatever the components now we are utilizing for the highways, this 10% has drastically come down, maybe 1 to 2%, but yes, in certain areas, it is still not. May not be the overloaded vehicle is flying on the highway, but he's taking some detour on some village road and he's carrying the overload. Another thing is that the cashless traffic, that if you really go for an open tolling system, you have to be cashless. You cannot, at this decade, you cannot expect that you'll take a cash of 500 rupees, give to the plaza, and then started arguing why you are not giving me the changes. Because it is not only for your own interest, it is not only disturbing the operation, it is also disturbing the other road user who is in queue behind you. So that is called discipline. Unless you bring some sort of discipline on the corridor, you really cannot expect a seamless driving. It has to be reciprocating to each other.
I have
so finally, thank you.
I
Yes,
have a
sir.
question, sir. Thank you, Partha. But let me ask a question which, are there cases in India, maybe Dr. Naval Shetty or Mr. Mal are the persons to give the audience this reply. Are there cases in India where the 55,000 series are being implemented, the 3 parts? And are there case studies being done on those to see how well or how effectively they have over, say, maybe if they've been implemented for the past 3-4 years? Have they been performing well? Is it meeting standards? What is the study knowledge that we get from? I was given to understand that Chennai Metro Rail had adopted this 55,000 series. So how effective is it, and what's the case study if they really have? And the other question which I want to ask any in the panel is that the land ISO 55,000 series for land asset management, because land is the key thing in India. So can the government at large, in its wisdom, bring in a 55,000 series approach to land as an asset overall, national land as an asset overall? Is that possible? So these are 2 queries I had. Naval, if you want, you go, and then Malsab, I would like you to have your comments and offer a vote of thanks.
Dr. Harsha, if I may just share the information I have. I don't have direct contact with these agencies, but I know that there are 2 power plants in India have been certified to ISO. 2 highway authorities, one in Karnataka and one in Rajasthan.
Yeah.
They were mandated by the Asian Development Bank to achieve ISO certification, and they put in place a full asset management system as part of the grant they were given. And I know that BWSSB in Bangalore is working towards it. But beyond that, I know one airport, I think is probably the Delhi airport, which has achieved ISO certification. Bangalore is working towards it. That's only my limited information.
That is certification to 55,000
That's
standards.
correct. That's correct. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Can I, Malsab, about the land, anybody has any idea about land asset and ISO 55,000 series at government level being applied for the land as an asset, land basically as an asset in all its various forms? Is that a possibility? Is that something we should look at, or should it be looked at as forests alone, or asset classes become fractured, rural land and agricultural land? And is that a way to look at it, or should it be look at land as a national asset and therefore an asset management for the whole of the land in India? Is it too much? Malsab, you have to unmute.
Let's hear from Malsab. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't unmute. Dr. Harsha, I fully agree with you that land, if we look at everything in totality, is an asset. And hence, it must be classified and appropriately used. Right now, all the misuse that is going on is also creating problems in other areas. All the flooding that we see is because of the swamplands, the marshy lands, all the water bodies getting filled up. And then we blame nature. But who is responsible for it? It is us humans. And talking of humans, asset management, it all has to be done by humans. And unless the human attitude is positive, we will not be able to achieve what we are looking for. For everything, we require a positive attitude, a must-do attitude, and an involvement that, yes, if I were in it, this is what I would like. Because everybody looks at it, what's in it for me? So there must be a total involvement and not a thinking that, oh, I will do this project and go away. What do I have to do with it? That's not the right attitude. So it is that attitude which must change. People, all the speakers and the panelists have spoken about it, but it has to come out in very strong terms that it is the human mind which is ultimately responsible, and that must change. Thank you.
You're right, sir.
Thank you. I think Dr. Harsha.
Malsab, I would ask call upon you to close the proceedings.
I think let the president do that.
Close the proceedings.
Dr. Harsha, I think we should close now because the number of participants are dropping off. And we had a session for more than 3 hours. That shows the importance of the subject And I think also the passion the speakers have brought into the discussion and the way they have gone about it to educate or to create awareness amongst the participants. Also, the number of questions reflect that people have been involved. That is our biggest takeaway from this webinar. And I think we have got to conclude thanking the speakers, of course, the participants, and our moderator who had done such an excellent job. You know, this is the webinar which has been organized by the Eastern Zone mainly, and the Eastern and Northeastern Zone of CEI should feel proud that they have chosen a difficult subject and still been able to make it interesting to the participants. It was the most challenging subject that we had in our webinar series. And I would request that all those who have participated, we invite them to join CEI, because as I mentioned, CEI does not stand for only consultants. CEI stands for the engineering fraternity and its future. We need to all work for elevation of the engineering fraternity and get due recognition from the society and the government. With that, I think we conclude the session, and thank